Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening. Welcome to the Between Two Sprouts podcast. I almost forgot the name of the show. The Between Two Sprouts podcast, the best place to be in Eorzea, featuring myself, Psybear, and Justruss, the mainstays of the podcast. We are here this evening to talk to you about story in Final Fantasy XIV, specifically highlighting the story of A Realm Reborn, storytelling devices. I mean, Russ has been doing optional dungeons. We've both been doing those, so all those sorts of things. Now, we will mention that So, I have just finished A Realm Reborn, all the patch content, coils, Crystal Tower, everything. Russ is, you finished main story, and then you're got a little bit to go in terms of some of the other story bits and the patch content. So we're going to keep it somewhat limited to base ARR, but we will sort of move from there when appropriate, won't we, Rusty boy?
Yeah. We'll just tangent off when into just random stuff as we do. Usually we end up overrunning, and then we'll do some questions as well. So get your questions ready now, and it can be anything, right? With the questions, it can be story related or not. So that's fine. So get them cooking.
Get them cooked up, chat. Excellent. And yes, thank you again to Howdy Frag for hosting this evening's episode. As we do every single week, we have a player from the community who hosts us in their lovely home and decorates it for everyone. So thank you to Howdy Frag as well. Now, starting things off then, Russ. So yeah, sort of catching everyone up then. I did sort of mention where you're at in the story, but it looks like you're at 2.0 completed. So you finished the main story. Okay.
Yeah, so I've literally just finished 2.0. When was that? That was last Monday, I think. So almost 2 weeks ago, coming up. Then I've just been deciding to kind of branch off and explore other kind of areas of the game and things. I think I was dropping some frames there. I think we're good now.
I think there's something in the house that's causing it. I don't know what it is, but I've just gone onto iCam, but...
Yeah, that makes sense. So I just decided to explore other areas of the game. I've been trying out a little bit of Red Mage, which is super good. I'd highly recommend you give that one a go.
Oh, okay.
Done some Red Mage, been leveling up my Marauder, and then now I'm kind of doing the optional dungeons, which have kind of a little bit of story behind each one as well. So, just kind of getting as much story as I can, and then we're going to go with coils starting I think next week, and then we'll go back into the post content, when I've kind of tried my hand. I don't want to 100% all the level 50 content, but I just want to dabble in each bit for a small amount of time.
Yeah, okay, cool.
Do coils. That's got lore and story behind it, right?
Yeah, coils is so a lot of the questions that I had initially as I was going through A Realm Reborn, a lot of the questions that I had were answered in coils and in Crystal Tower as well. Do you know what the Crystal Tower is?
Yeah. That's the Alliance raid, I think, right?
Yeah, perfect, yeah.
That's part of the story, yeah. I think it's even, you have to do it, right? As part of the MSQ, is it?
Yeah, so I think you can get up to a certain point. I think you can access it in 2.3 or something, or something like that, but you have to have it completed before a certain point, before 2.4 or something like that. So you are forced to do it. But that was super heavy in lore for me and everything. So that answered a lot of my questions and stuff like that. But yeah, okay. So you're going to be doing coils soon. How many dungeons have you done? Sorry, how much of the optional dungeons have you done?
So I think I've done all of the new unlocked optional dungeons, but now I'm working through the hard modes. So those ones are the rehash, remastered kind of re-releases, I guess. It was quite interesting to me that they have their own storylines. The first one I did was Tamtara, I think, and that one was really cool with its separate little storyline about the adventurers that you find, all the way back when you first start the game. That adventuring party where one of them dies and she's got his head and stuff. That is really cool that it gets revisited and it's got its own little storyline there. That was nice. So because I did that one first of the hard modes, I was oh, so all the hard modes are gonna have a little storyline and stuff. And then I went and unlocked the next one. It's do this again. It's a slightly different boss, slightly different route and stuff, but they're still nice to go back, right? I did the Copperbell Mines, so I'm doing them in chronological order, I think, in terms of when they were remastered now.
Okay.
I've had a little list been put together by someone in my community, so that's nice. I got a little to-do list. Yeah, but right now, yeah, I've just been doing them all. Like Pharos Sirius was an experience for sure. And that was probably the hardest dungeon that I've done so far.
See, we could
But
just talk about dungeons like I want to.
yeah, honestly, we could.
We could just talk about it for a while.
Yeah,
Do you
I
want
mean,
to?
we can. Yeah, yeah.
Do you want to start by like starting with the initial Realm Reborn story, and then we can
Yeah.
progress on to
Yeah,
that sort of
yeah,
stuff? Yeah, because I think when we get to the dungeons, because there's a lot of. I mean, okay, not all of them are Tamtara Deepcroft level of story, but there's some really good ones, and I have my own personal favorites, like story-wise and stuff. But okay, so you've done like a good few of the dungeons so far. I think there's like 20 optional dungeons, so you've done a good few of them. So you got some stuff upcoming. That's cool. So
yeah, I think I have like maybe 10 or 11 left, something around there. Yeah.
okay, about halfway through then, I think, roughly. So initially, when you started A Realm Reborn. It's weird thinking back that far now, because for me it was like 8 weeks ago. I literally just had in the mail my like sort of 2-month login like mail where they give you a little gift and they're like, hey, thanks for playing for 2 months.
Oh,
and I just had that I think yesterday or Wednesday. So it's weird to think back, but I believe the story like initially was different depending on which which city you start in. I started in Limsa Minsa, so my storyline was all about like a bunch of pirates who became like farmers, and then one of the farmers or retired pirates, they were like a traitor, and then we dealt with that, and then the story progressed from there, and then we met like Y'shtola, and we met. We started to deal with our first primal and stuff like that. What do you think about the initial, or like, what was your first experience with the story?
So my first bit, I started in Gridania as a dragoon, so a little bit different. It was just like small tasks here and there, dealing with like small threats. We had beasts kind of like getting out of hand, and we had to like go put them in their place and stuff. Very small things at the start, like killing some like small creatures. And then there was like this point where it seemed like a really big plotline. It's just talking about essentially like the Black Death and stuff like in game, okay. And like all this stuff. And it was like, oh yeah, we used to use the intestines of this creature to like stop the plague, and like this big plague killed everyone all this time ago. And then I was like, oh, whoa, that's crazy. And then they just never talked about it ever again. I'm like, oh, okay. I mean, sure, okay, there was a plague at some point. But my whole, like, the whole overarching theme of, like, the Gridania and the 12's Wood and Black Shroud and stuff was you're kind of chasing around this Ascian dude. So you get like, acquainted with the Ascians, like, very quickly. I don't know if that's similar in...
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was, like, when Y'shtola was introduced. So I think, like...
Yes, same thing.
In under 10 hours of like playtime, like absolutely,
yeah.
Probably like 5 hours or so playtime. Under that, I think you meet the first Ascian.
Yes. So we had like before it was like, oh, there's some weird shadow going around the forest and causing all this havoc, and they keep eluding all the guards. The Wood Whalers are like the names of like the guards tribe over there, and then you're kind of just like always one step behind, and you kind of just like picking up all the pieces that this person is kind of like just causing havoc. And then you kind of get acquainted with the beast tribes, so that's the Ixal as well. And then there's like these sacred kind of like grounds around the wood, and they're kind of basically their like shrines are being played with and destroyed almost. Like they're putting like swords in these like sacred tree stumps and stuff like this, so it's all causing a little bit of upset. So you meet some Mughals, and then you meet Ida and Papalimo. So that's kind of the Gridania version of like the Y'shtola for me, like interacting with the Scions and stuff. And then just one thing leads to another, and you're kind of like hunting down this Ascian dude, and then eventually you do actually get a face-off. You're kind of like facing the Ixal threat, and then after the Ixal threat, the Mass Mage just kind of pops up, and he's like, lol, I've been fucking with you, kind of thing. And then he summons like a gargoyle, you kill a gargoyle, then you kill the dude, and you get like I think at this point you've already earned your first crystal light, but then he leaves behind like a corrupted crystal when he dies, and it like poofs into smoke, and I'm just like, oh, I thought I was gonna lick that crystal,
Yeah.
But alas, did not get to do that. And that's kind of like then you get sent off to, in the airship, and I assume you do a similar thing from them. So you go in the airship, meet all the other leaders. Or do you have your first dungeon? Because is the first dungeon the same? Like, because all of the novice... yes, Sastasha.
Mm.
And, like... Because I had Sastasha as my first dungeon as well, so... I had to come over and, like, meet all the, like, Admiral and Albana and stuff. Like, I got acquainted with Carney Senna, and then I had, like, a little ritual. And I had to go in the airship and meet the other kind of leaders. Interesting if you did that after the first dungeon or not, because I guess it's like already in your kind of zone, right?
There's a couple times where you meet all the leaders, I guess. But there was the one where they're giving all their like rallying speeches, but I thought that came quite a bit like later.
That's after
You're talking about before that.
Yeah. Actually,
oh yeah, because you have to choose a grand company, don't you? Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah.
So in terms of this sort of storytelling like flow, what do you, because a lot of people say when you join this game, they say, oh my god, the story's incredible, just get through A Realm Reborn, but the story's incredible, you're gonna love this game for the story. What do you actually like overall think of the story of A Realm Reborn? Like, what's your sort of, you don't have to give it out of 10 necessarily, but how does it compare to maybe other story-based games that you played before? And what do you think about it in general?
I think if I was playing it just for the story, it would be a little bit disappointing, I guess. The end definitely started cooking. It's like a slow start, but if I was playing it for the intention of like picking up a story and I knew that that was the end of the game, like at the end of A Realm Reborn, I'd probably be like, yeah, it's alright. But the rest of the game kind of props it up a little bit, right? Like it's not bad. But I think it's a good like slow start introducing the characters. It's reassuring, I guess, knowing there's more to come and that it's all setting up for like more payoffs down the line. But if the ending was, there was a good payoff at the end, I think. But if that was like the only payoff, I'd be like a bit like there would be some unanswered questions, I guess. Well, not necessarily like unanswered questions, but everything I do think gets touched on and closed off. But I would be a bit like, what was the point in all of these separate things? Like they all have like a really small meaning within the story, but nothing like, huge. Like all the different beast tribes, like with the I'm forgetting the name now. The lettuce people.
The lettuce? The sylphs.
Sylphs, like they all have like these very small kind of like meanings throughout the story. I miss Eorzea, but. Yeah.
Do you know when we did the podcast, I think it was the first episode, and you said about liking the sylphs.
Yeah.
And I said in that moment, I said, oh yeah, I got a real good kick out of the sylphs. And obviously at the time...
Yeah, I didn't know.
You didn't know, but now you know.
Didn't know.
There you go. How'd you enjoy the Such Devastation as well, by the way?
Very good, very good. And then... it's really funny, actually. There's a good clip that came out of it. So the Such Devastation thing went, and then... Like, I went, that's what he was doing! And then the whole chat just went like, such devastation!
Yeah.
It's just like this huge thing, like this anime-style explosion, and it's just like, such devastation!
Such devastation! This was
Such
not
devastation.
my intention!
Yeah.
Gaius is a sick character, yeah.
Gaius was cool. He was actually such a giga chat, it was crazy.
Yeah.
It's actually sad that I think that does actually die there, and he does. Everyone's talking about killing the Black Wolf and stuff, but as long as he doesn't like respawn or something. But
he's on a res timer. Cool. He's coming back.
He just would not go down. Another thing I really liked was his little minion that you fight in that circular arena on your way kind of towards the last
beforehand. Road.
Yeah.
What did I used to call him? I used to call him Ritalin. It's
you called him Ritalin as well.
Yeah, I used to call him Ritalin. Yeah, that lad. Yeah, that was a really good fight. That was the first story mission that I like actually died on, but it wasn't fair. Like it wasn't fair that I died. It was like a mechanical thing. Don't worry about it.
Mechanics happens.
Yeah, mechanics happens. So so overall with the story, you feel like it's good, but if it was just a story on its own, like obviously because it's an MMORPG, it's there's more to it than just the story. But like fair enough, I can get that. I have heard from a lot of people where they've said I tried playing a Final Fantasy 14 and tried playing this game. I quit after a few weeks or whatever, or after getting to 2. Like finishing 2.0, and then just I left it because I got bored, and then I came back a few months later, and now I've put 1,000 hours into the game, and I've been, finished Endwalker and everything like that. I've leveled multiple classes, I'm raiding, I got a static, and I'm hearing that story quite a bit from people, where people sort of put it down after the first time, and then had to come back to it. Okay. I think we have a unique perspective as streamers, because, like, for me, I've done some stuff off stream, right? So I've like leveled Dragoon off stream a little bit, and right. I remember reading through some, like I was reading all the quest text still, but I was like, oh, this is a little bit it's a little bit more boring when you don't have the chat to feed off of and bounce off of and cook with, and funny bits happen and you can laugh or whatever, or comment with each other. I was like, oh, this is a bit different, and I sort of like had to keep myself engaged. I mean, it was early level Dragoon questing, so it's not like it was exactly, riveting, but the point stands. I think when you're streaming, and this is something I like to be aware of, is our experiences are a bit different. So for me, within the first day or two of streaming A Realm Reborn, I was like, oh my god, this is phenomenal. Like, everyone's saying, hey, Psy, just don't quit, just don't quit. I was like, there's no chance I'm quitting. This is amazing. This is so good, because... I'm reading it out loud, I'm theory crafting, I'm cooking, I'm paying attention to everything, and I have everyone here to experience it with. So I feel if it wasn't for the chat interacting with me, I could definitely see it being more sort of tedious to get through. But for me, a big fix for that is... I guess actually before I talk about like ways in which I would sort of, I don't want to say fix the story, but ways in which I personally would maybe be more invested, I could talk about that, but... I was very, like, invested in the story as things started to unravel, but you do definitely feel like the combat's a bit slow. You don't get a whole lot of access to combat sort of instances. You don't get your first dungeon until, like, level 20-ish. You don't get many abilities, so they introduce abilities to you quite slowly. And a lot of the quests are run here, talk to this person, run back over to this person, talk to them. And there's not a whole lot of combat. And I feel, and from what I've heard from a lot of people, if there was a smidge more combat, and you unlocked more abilities more quickly, then it would level things out a little bit. What do you think about that? Do you agree with that?
Yeah, like, it definitely wouldn't do any harm, like, front-loading it a little bit more. Giving you a few more abilities at the beginning, or making up with a really punchy story at the start to offset the fact that there isn't. Because, like, it just feels like it's spread a little bit thin, I guess, towards the beginning. You've got not many abilities, as you said, not many combat things, like, at most, for the first 5 hours, you're doing, kill 3 mobs, talk to 10 people, kill 3 mobs, talk to 10 people.
I wish I could kill 10 people, talk to 3 mobs, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, and then you'll get to a duty, and then you're like, oh, cool, a duty, like, now it's maybe like a challenge, and that only lasts, like, what, 2-3 minutes, something like that, on the early ones?
Yeah.
So it is a lot of, like, running around. I definitely think it gets better as you get some abilities. But yeah, like, they could front load, like, I don't know, maybe a bit more of like a tutorial into it, kind of similar to how WoW has that new
Exile's Reach
thing, like, just to kind of give you a taste of what there is to experience, but then they take it away from you again, like,
that's interesting.
As they put that, like, vehicle combat in, and it's like, whoa, like, all of this stuff exists within the game, so any new player would be like, oh, okay, like, I kind of know, like, it teaches you, like, how parties work, how kicking works, how this works and that works, and there's vehicles and all these different styles of quests. They just drop, like, one of each style of quest in WoW, and then they kind of, like, take it away from you again, like, cool, now go on it. So you get, like, the little taster, like, you get that carrot on the stick, like, right in your face. I feel like the carrot on the stick in Final Fantasy at the beginning almost needs to be, like, self-made. You need to think of a reason, like, okay, I need to hype myself up for this, like, based on what people have told me, or how I think the story could be, or something like that. You've got to, like, self-generate the carrot to give you something to stick to.
You've got to motivate yourself in terms of what you're trying to chase. I can get behind that. I mean, I think for me, I knew what I was getting in for with this game. I've said in previous episodes, yeah, that becomes my carrot because I know, like, I knew, okay, story's going to be a little bit slow to start. Combat's going to be a little bit slow. No worries, because I'm aware of this. I've seen my friends CC Lemon and Rose Pose. They've been playing Final Fantasy for years, telling me how good it is, yada yada, amazing, okay, cool. Know what I'm getting myself in for. So, and I knew I was going to be streaming it, and I knew, like, there were times in the past where I could have started streaming this game and I went, no, I'm not ready for it. And then now I'm ready for it and I'm doing it properly. And I think that's shown in my experience. I can definitely understand where a lot of people might hear about Final Fantasy being a good game, especially maybe like WoW players or something, and go, okay, I'll give this a try. And then they log in, don't really know what the game's about, and then very quickly go, oh, this is like slow.
WoW players in particular are conditioned not to really care about story as well. So if you don't have it, like, for them, maybe it's neither here nor there if there is a story or not. But if you don't give them the combat as well or something, then a lot of people, you can see why a lot of people are like, not my thing, kind of like, weeb game, lol, and then they quit. Right? That's how it generally goes down. In fact, I think I've heard more cases of people that played it the second time around than the first.
Yeah, I've heard a lot about, like, just that sort of, I came back to Final Fantasy after the first time and then sorted it, like, completed it. Because, and what I would attribute that to is exactly what I was saying, where it's like, well, I know what I'm getting myself in for the second time around. And they sort of use that initial exposure as a primer. Not as a primal, but as a primer to sort of get the wheels spinning, and then when they come back, they know what they're getting themselves in for. But, like, ultimately, I don't think the Aroma Reborn story was bad. I thought it was fantastic. I thought the story was really good.
I thought the end was...
Yeah,
like, I got very hyped up at the end. I was like, oh god, like, and people were like, and this is the worst content. And I was like, okay then. Like, I was, like, remembering back to, you know, that stream, I did, like, the whole ending, all of that part, like, all of Custom Century onwards in, like, one stream. And, I do remember, like, that was, like, really, really hype. Again, can't think, like, would have been as hype? It's hard to, like, separate your mindset when it's like, would it have been as hype if I wasn't on stream and I didn't have all these people, like, cheering me on and all this stuff, like, when I did my limit break and stuff, and, like, I just went mental, and, you know, it was, like, all this, like, really cool, and, like, the adrenaline was just, like, buzzing through the roof, and it's like, would I have done that if I, like, if I wasn't on stream? I don't know, but definitely think that, you know, we have a slightly different experience to most people.
I know there are definitely things upcoming where, like, you will get hype regardless, because, like, my friend Dylan, who's this lad I keep going back to, but he started playing at the same time as me, but he's now an Endwalker, and he's he's been pumping it out, but he's not been stolen, but he's an Endwalker now. And he's gone, oh my god, this is so hype, this is so sick. And then CC Lemon sitting there on Discord like, oh yeah. And, you know, and like Rose Pose having, they're sitting there on Discord watching him. And he's getting super hype. And then he's going, oh my god, I got work tomorrow. I got to go to bed, but I don't want to because I want to finish this. So there are definitely points, even if you're not a streamer, and of course, there's millions of people that play this game without being a streamer and definitely have those hype moments. What I will say is that the post-patch content of ARR is twice, 3 times as good as base ARR, and it's in a condensed window.
Yeah.
So,
like 80 quests or something, isn't it?
Yeah, well, even just the sense of you're not on the leveling experience, and you don't have as many dungeons and stuff, right? With all the optional dungeons and everything that I did, it was like a condensed window where I did the patch content, and I thought patch 0.1 was cool. I was like, oh, this is nice. Yeah, this was cool actually. And people come in and chat like ZZZ 0.1 patch, and I was like, oh no, I like this. This is cool. We've done this XYZ. Obviously, I can't go into much detail check because Russ isn't there yet, so I don't want to spoil things for him. But then by the time you get to like 0.4, 0.5 patch, 0.55 patch. By the way, there is a 0.55 patch, which may as well be a 0.6 patch. People don't tell you that until you get there. It goes wild, dude. I pumped out 7-8 hours of MSQ today just to witness it all, and didn't do any stalling or anything because I was just like, I want to finish the 0.5 patch in one sitting, and it was insane. Like you don't even have time to respond to something before you're then just immediately hit with something else, and then you're like, well, I wasn't even finished processing that. Now I have to process this other thing that's come in, and it just comes thick and fast. So the story really ramps up. I wish there was a smidge more of that injection into base ARR, because even though the game has a really good retention of sprouts, I think it would be that little bit better if, like we're saying, it was just a little bit quicker with ARR. And I think that the Final Fantasy devs know that, and they're getting there. But like we say this, I think out of respect for the game, out of like, you know, bro, this, if we can just get people to that next bit, they're gonna love it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I felt like towards the very end of ARR, like it should have been like a few more of those moments sprinkled throughout. I think like we're both like you definitely get those moments, like the whole like Titan build up and that, and the Garuda stuff, and then like when shit starts going down, like after you beat Garuda, and then like the Empire stuff finally kind of comes together, and then you're like, oh, okay, now I see. But like when we were chasing around his airship for like 4 days
for the crystal to get the little machine working, that one.
Yeah, well, we just had to find the airship in like Koathas, and we were just like running around Koathas, which is a massive zone, for ages and ages and ages. And like stuff like that. Like there's definitely payoffs throughout, like when you meet Sid, and then when you like get to the airship, and then the whole like Garuda stuff. But then yeah, the crystal, I know what you mean.
When they're like, you go for the crystal, and they're like, oh, we just need this crystal for the machine, and they're like, oh wait, you wanted the wind one? Oh, that's the wrong. Why didn't you say so? And then you go to you're like, okay, well fine, I'll go get the other one then. And then you go to get the other one, and then it's like, I don't know, some other stupid thing happens. You're like, no, not this crystal. It's not strong enough. And then we gotta go get another crystal. I'm like,
yeah. And then at the end they're like, oh no, you wanted the fire one, right? And then you're like, oh no, and then he's like, oh, I'm just kidding. He's like, yeah, I'm just kidding, I know you're pissed off at me.
The game knows when they're messing with you purposely.
Yeah, but then there was the same kind of thing like building up to Titan as well, because like the whole feast thing, you had to go like across like 6 different zones, like the whole like winery reborn quest line, like in the middle of that, which was a cool quest line actually. I
like
enjoyed
that
the whole like setting up the winery. I hope that comes back in the future. I think it probably will. That was like a nice little side quest within the main quest there, almost. But yeah, it's just like this guy, you keep coming back to him. He's like, oh yeah, now go to this guy. He's got to know you're hard enough. And then I guess you are meeting like was it Company of Heroes?
Company of Heroes, yeah.
So you are like meeting all of them, and then they come to the dinner. And I was expecting much grander dinner when we actually got there. It was like, eat a plate of food. Cool, now you're ready. And I was like, I was literally doing this for like 8 hours, bro. I was setting up this feast, and it's over in 5 seconds. But,
I think the thing is, like, you don't truly know. You know you're building up to something, but you don't truly know when you're there until you're there. And then, suddenly there's just a dungeon or a trial or something, and you go, oh wait, I'm here now. And you know it's building, but it takes a little bit of time to build. And then that's the sort of bit where you're like, I'm not sure exactly how close I am, you know?
It's like, ooh, piece of candy. Ooh, piece of candy as you go along. And then finally it's like, all right, here's the whole damn chocolate bar. Like, and then you're like, whoa, okay. And then you get like these big moments. So it is nice, like, but I can see why, like, they're quite few and far between, to the point where, you know, the average attention span these days is, you know, dwindling, let's say. So people do get a little bit fed up, have a little bit less patience, don't they? So I can see why people might, you know, stick with it a little bit less.
Yeah, I like to think of it, and this is what I've been saying. It's sort of like a roller coaster ride where you're building up the story, and you're doing these little side bits to get to the point that you want to get to, say fighting Garuda, finding Sid's airship, whatever it may be, and you're kind of on the roller coaster, and you're going up and chugging up and chugging up, and you get to a peak, and then inevitably after you peak on something, you got to come back down. And so then you come back down and you go, oh man, we just had that big payoff, now we're going and stuck doing this thing again. But then it starts to build up, and you realize, oh wait, this has all been building up to something now. These characters we met, which were innocuous characters, are now pivotal to what's building.
Yeah, you're not going down as far each time.
Then it goes up again, and you don't go down as far each time. So each time you're sort of building up further and further, and each payoff is more impactful and sort of more exciting. So yeah, I do think that about the story. What about then about certain sort of characters? Like, the Asians, for example, where, like, what do you think about sort of the threats that are affecting us? Because the main story is dark versus light, us versus these Asians who keep appearing, telling us their evil plan, and then disappearing. And, you know, I made a joke on stream. I watched a little minute video where it's like the Asians show up and they're like, ooh, I'm naughty. And then you're like, oh, like, hey, bro. And he's like, ha ha ha, my evil plan. And you're like, oh, are you here to kill us? And he's like, no. And you're like, okay, are we here to kill you? And they're like, no. Like, okay, so we're just gonna sort of dialogue for a little bit? Yes.
Yeah.
Bye, you know, but I'm naughty the whole time.
Yeah.
That's how it sort of feels with the ASEAN threat. But what do you think about the overarching story? Do you like... I mean, in terms of story games... This is something that's a trope that's sort of done a lot of times. It's in Kingdom Hearts. It's in other Final Fantasies. It's in... Like, the Dark vs. Light thing is done in a lot of games. I've named 2.
Yeah.
But do you like this sort of story, or, you know, did you think it was going to be this sort of thing originally when you started playing?
I didn't really put much thought into what I was expecting, to be honest. I was just kind of taking it a day at a time, you know, putting one foot in front of the other. I didn't really like have any speculations or theories or anything like that.
Yeah.
I guess it's kind of similar to like Old Gods in WoW, isn't it? Like they're kind of there, like, ooh, influencing a bunch of stuff around, or the Jailer. We could talk about the Jailer and how it was planned since Warcraft 3, you know.
I can't.
You know, him pulling the strings. Oh, he is evil all along. No, but...
Bro, I played a bunch of Warcraft 3. I'll tell you what, Jailer was nowhere to be found, Chief. I'll tell you that right now. Like,
yeah. No, I think, yeah, I guess, you know, it's a pretty standard. It's like a tried and tested storyline, and it kind of works. Overarching power, evil guys, you know, some long-term late game plan, which is usually to kind of just cause destruction, it seems, but it's like
devastation,
you know,
some might say.
Devastation, such devastation, and they've you know, convinced themselves that it's because the world's doomed anyway, like it's for the greater good, like, you know, everything's gonna go to shit, so why not just blow it all up, kind of thing. That's like a pretty classic villain storyline, isn't it, at this point, you know, in film and in games.
Yeah.
So I guess that's kind of like ASEAN's kind of thing. Empire, I don't even 100% know really like what the Empire's goal was, but Thancred was with them, so like when he was possessed. So yeah, it's very much like they were doing something in the interest of the ASEANs.
I'll be honest though, just real quick, just to cut you there. I have a theory, and this is something that's developed since completing 2.55, but I'm pretty sure the only reason La Habrea took control of Thancred was to understand what it's like to experience Riz. Like bottom line, yeah, he just wanted to know what it feels like, because Thancred's got it, and it makes sense.
Fair enough. I mean, if you could put yourselves in the shoe of you know, someone with a lot of Riz, you would, right? Just for a day or a month, you know.
Just for a day,
mess around a little bit, just for a day, just see what it is, learn some things. Yeah. Hey yo.
Thank Riz. But but yeah, sorry, as you were saying.
Yeah, I also wanted to kind of say, I'll finish my point, but yeah, like I think it's a bad, like a classic storyline. Just kind of works, doesn't it? So, I think it's probably going to get expanded on in the next couple patches, because kind of like where the story ended was, for me, it was like, okay, we beat the Empire, all right, we got Thancred back, and that was really cool, like fighting them back to back and stuff, and you know, the big ultimate where you die and then you get some intervention from what's her name, Crystal Mummy.
Oh, Heidelin?
Heidelin, yeah, and Heidelin's like rezzing you up and stuff because you like die in the La Habrea fight and stuff. And I was so sure you're supposed to die there, and then everyone was like, "Oh man, failed."
Well, Russ, you failed, bro. You suck. Gotta go again.
That. Yeah. And then you go like anime Super Saiyan mode and stuff, right? But yeah, like the last thing I saw was everyone was kind of celebrating, and they were like, "Okay, end of the sixth era, dawn of the seventh." So that's like the whole Scion's name. Seventh Dawn and stuff, and then you see all the Ascians like together, and it's like Labria is not alone. He was just one of like 20, and that's just how many fit on the camera, right? There could be so many, and how many
Think
how
about
much, like,
who's
havoc they
holding
cause.
the camera, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Like Bahamut's holding the camera.
All right, guys,
Yeah.
just stay still, okay? Bahamut's got small hands.
Let me pan
he can't
out.
Really,
yeah, and then like the last thing you hear is like the roar, right? And then they're like, "Oh my god, we heard this exactly 5 years ago." So it's like, okay, well, he's obviously released now, and I assume he's just like a big primal, so like a very dangerous big boy.
He's a
so
little
that's
bit
kinda, like,
naughty,
first
yeah.
game.
He does some stuff.
Big bad boy.
Big bad boy.
Yeah.
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 Do you have any like? What do you? Yeah, like, do you have any sort of outstanding theories looking at coils, or like anything else, any other sort of questions that you're hoping to be answered at all? Because I had a few, like when I was in A Realm Reborn. I can go through what I was thinking at the time if you want.
Yeah, go for that, because I feel like they have left it at a point where like you could put the game down. Like that's probably why people do. Like there was closure on most of the points. It's like the bigger questions are like, well, what's going to happen now with the Ascians, because they're obviously still out there. You know, like Bahamut's loose, and that he caused the calamity. So it's like, well, if he's out there, like, is he going to blow up the world again, kind of thing. So I guess it's about like re-imprisoning him, and maybe like putting a muzzle on him, putting the muzzle on the Ascians and stuff. That's like the only things I can kind of foresee. But I don't know like how the storyline kind of goes down, aside from, you know, business as usual, saving the world. There'll always be a new threat. Something with I think, you know, we've got the awakening of Nidhogg as well, like going through the Dragon quest line, like gonna awaken soon, so that's like a possible looming threat as well. And like Justinian wants to team up for that as well, so that's like the only things that I have. I don't know if I don't know if the other jobs have a, you know, different kind of looming threat. Like every job questline has its own thing, because I haven't quite finished my warrior stuff. It's like 43 or 44 or something. So I don't know if like the warrior one they talk about a looming threat and this, but I feel like the Nidhogg stuff started getting talked about like level 30, level 35. Whereas
from what I've heard, like people said, oh, do Dragoon before you do Heaven's Ward, because you get some extra like flavor text and stuff. Because obviously, you know, Heaven's Ward is going to be, I think Dragoon was Dragoon added in Heaven's Ward? I might be wrong about that. No, I think it was, right, and that's why there's like this sort of connection.
Base class, I think.
Was it base class?
Base class, I think.
Oh no, Dragoon was original. Okay, yeah, it just so happened that the expansion sort of lined up with it. Okay, yeah, ignore me then. But obviously, A Realm Reborn was planned. You know, the story was planned over the course of many expansions, so they knew sort of where they were heading. But yeah, so the questions that I had when I finished A Realm Reborn 2.0 was like, I had questions about Bahamut, where I was like, okay, so why did... So do you know who... Let me just double check. Do you know who... Like, why Bahamut was there? Like, do you know who put Bahamut there in Dalamud?
No, I don't.
You don't know who it was? Chat, should he know who it was? Because, like, this is the thing. It's like, you might have just... That's the thing, I need to find out.
Yeah, I might have
if you're supposed to know, then it's okay if I say what I'm about to say. But if you're not supposed to know yet, then I don't want to...
It's saying no. My chat's saying no, at least.
Your chat's saying no? Oh, my chat said, yeah, it's mentioned a couple times. Okay, right. I won't say anything.
No.
Basically, I wondered, like, when I finished A Realm Reborn, I wondered, like, obviously about the Ascians, like, what they're doing. Yeah. But then I was wondering, like, during the 2.0 trailer, Bahamut, like, comes down from Dalamud, and then I'm like, where did he go? Like, what happened to him? Because he's destroying the Earth and stuff, and then it's like, okay, so where did he go? Because why isn't the Earth destroyed? And then I had questions of, like, we all get teleported to, like, 5 years, or... honestly, I'm still unsure about with the teleport thing.
I think
but
it's
I was like,
time skip, right?
Yeah.
5 years into the future.
Because I was like, do we get teleported to, like, a carbon copy of our world,
Right, like a
or is
parallel
it
universe.
yeah, like is it like a parallel universe, or is it like did we get teleported into a world as if that never happened, or well, clearly not because people remember it. And then I'm like, so you know when you're doing the wine quest, the Bacchus wine quest, I was like, oh, so these people, like the wine got destroyed during the calamity, the grapes did, so they couldn't make the wine. And I was like, oh, so were people still living their lives, like with this sort of like a Thanos snap thing where life went on and then suddenly Thanos was like the effect of Thanos was unraveled and then people reappeared? Like, did we appear 5 years later, or? So I was like trying to think all about that when I was doing A Realm Reborn, you know?
Yeah, like I don't know if everyone got transported 5 years or people lived through that 5 years. Like,
Yeah.
but not us, like not the heroes, not the Warriors of Light, and well, because the Warriors of Light supposedly died out, right? Or disappeared or something. Like I assume probably just disappeared because people were like, well, they don't exist anymore. They kind of like went down saving the world and stuff, right? Like praying and calling upon all the 12 and stuff. So I think it's the 12 that like imprison Bahamut because like everyone's praying and stuff, and then they're like all the different like logos and like star signs and stuff come up, don't they? And like that creates the prison. But yeah, it's like, where does he go and where do we go? Like what happens there? Like I still don't even know like who's teleporting us away. I think I know, but I don't think it's been told to me in game yet, right? So it's like, okay, like I just know like old man old man clutched it, right? And
bro, don't call him old man. He's like everyone's favorite character. Give him a proper name. Like, people are gonna get mad at
everyone
you.
like to my knowledge where I'm at, he's supposed to be just clutch old man kind of thing, you know what I mean?
Okay.
Yeah, and then everyone spams the dead emote and stuff, but
Yeah.
So I think I know, but like I'm not supposed to know just yet. So that's kind of like where, I don't know. I'm kind of with you on that. I don't know if it was like a localized time skip or like a worldwide time skip.
Yeah, like did he teleport everyone on the whole planet 5 years in the future? But then the wine quest would tell you that it didn't happen that way because they experienced life still, and they remembered life during and after the calamity. So figuring that, like all of that out was interesting, but I won't give any more theories because like I really don't want to spoil anything. Like I want to be very, very careful not to spoil anything, so I won't continue any of my theories that I had whilst I was playing A Realm Reborn because I can't remember what you know and don't know at this point for some of the intricacies. But okay, what do you think about morally the morally gray sort of undertones that are constantly flowing through? Like you say, I mean, the bad guys, are they really the bad guys? They, maybe their ideas are good, they're just going about it the wrong way, or maybe not, like, that they are going about it the right way. Like, for example, Merlwyb, where the kobolds are summoning Titan because the kobolds are under threat, and then we're like, hey, Merlwyb, what if you stopped killing kobolds and they'd stop being scared and summoning their primal? And she's like, oh, well, no, bro, like, us versus them. And that was a big thing for me with especially all the primals, where I'm going, well, I don't think the primals are bad. I think the primals are just, that's just it. Like, they're just
existing.
They're just existing because there are multiple factions around the world, and they're all stepping on each other's toes, especially exacerbated by the Empire's presence. And so that's kind of cornered everyone. Everyone is feeling cornered. There's less land and resources to go around, which is causing all these different tribes to summon their primals. The primals are there just to protect their people. Like, if you're a deity, if you're the summoned power, you're there to protect your people. So the primals aren't bad. Now, some would say, oh yeah, but the primals suck the aether out of the land. Okay, well, alright, whatever. They become a big aether pinata. So, okay, maybe technically they are still bad. But, like, I look at a character like Merlwyb, and I go, ooh, I sort of don't agree with Merlwyb here. I don't agree with her approach necessarily. But that's a morally grey thing where you go, well, are the primals good? Are the primals bad? Yada yada. Are the Grand Company good or bad? And did you have these sort of conversations in your head or with chat or anything during this? Did you have that morally grey experience, or did you see it differently?
I didn't really question it until I think on I think it was the first episode of the podcast you mentioned about like the Copper Bell mines and stuff, and about how like we're basically invading these guys' home to mine it.
I think we buried them underground for like 300 years, and then they started to like.
They're like, we don't want to be here anymore.
Yeah, they're like, hey man, can we come out?
Back in your hole,
like,
and then we like going out and killing all of the rebellious ones who just want to like get to the surface. And it's like I didn't think about that, but then afterwards I was like, oh, that is a bit dark, because like they're probably only mad because you're imprisoning them, you know. Like,
yeah, and if you left them alone, maybe they'd be okay, and they'd leave you alone. Yeah.
But yeah, I guess it's like, I don't know, usually like the humans and stuff, they want to be the ones in power, don't they? It's classic.
Classic humans, eh?
Classic humans. Yeah. So I guess like I haven't given it too much thought really about the morally grey stuff, but I'd like to go back. One thing I am doing, which is actually generating me some of these kind of sort of questions anyway, is like I have been watching back my VODs and stuff, because I'm like making them into like YouTube videos and stuff. So I've been like going through stuff, and I've like re-caught cutscenes again where I'm like, oh, like I got now a question. So there's like, it's mentioned very early on, I think it's when you first leave like your main city and you go on the airship, and I think in like the first cutscene when you go on the first airship, it takes you to, it like introduces the Empire, and like you have like Gaius walking down with all of his henchmen, and then there's like a traitor who gets like cut in half by his gunblade, and then it talks about how they were flying their ship to try and take Mordona and like the Crystal Lake thing, and then that's when I think it's like the dragon Midgard Summer. Midgard Summer. It was like taking them down with a big fleet, right? Yeah. And I'm just there like, I just completely forgot all of that existed, and then when I got to Mordona I was like, oh, it's the thing, and then I was like, I feel like I should know what that is, but I don't remember. And then when I watched back the VOD, I was like, oh, this is the thing explaining that. But now I'm like, what's the significance of the lake? Why did they need to take that? So now I have like this unanswered question that I only, like, I was all good and like dandy after the end of ARR base, and now I'm like, but why the lake though? What's the importance there? Because I don't think it got expanded on, unless there's another cutscene I've overlooked somewhere down the line. So like that's something which maybe comes later in post, or maybe it comes in a later expansion or something even. I don't know. But
did you watch the 1.0 trailer?
Yes. Yeah, and that's
so
what
do you remember what happened in that? Yeah, like that was.
I thought that was. Yeah.
That was Midgard Summer on the Empire ship.
Yeah.
And that's obviously him then in the lake now, and he's fried, and the ship's in the lake. So yeah, I mean, I didn't even remember that actually. That you saying like that cutscene with the Empire saying about the lake.
Yeah, like they briefly explain it. I think it's probably like a little bit of a throwback to 1.0 then. But like I watched the 1.0 cinematic, and then I saw that, and then I went to the Mordona and I was like, oh, it's the thing from the 1.0 cinematic, and everyone's like, no, it's not. So I don't know if I just got baited, but people were like, no, it's not. So then I was like, oh, okay.
No, I think you got baited. It's definitely from the 1.0 trailer, 100%.
That's what I thought. I was like, I recognize that from 1.0 trailer, but maybe, I don't know.
Wow, imagine stalling as hard as you stole. You finally try and do some MSQ in Theorycraft, and chat's like, nope, wrong.
No, you're wrong. Yeah,
idiot.
you're wrong.
Russ just bullied. He goes back to the Golden Sorcerer and goes to a nightclub and puts on a YouTube video. Unlucky, Russ. Feels bad, man.
Yeah.
Never do an MSQ again. Yeah, I think that's like really interesting, and this sort of throws me back then to a moment ago where we were saying about like, oh, Realm Reborn is great, it's a good story game, but I mean, you said you'd be a little bit disappointed if there weren't other aspects of the game. I mean, obviously there are, because it's an MMO, so you got all the other elements which also bolster it up, but
yeah,
I think, and as much as we say, oh, well, maybe the MSQ could be a little bit shorter or have a little bit more action interspersed, like if some of those optional dungeons, and actually this is another point I want to get into a moment, but like maybe if you had to do more combat-y stuff, or maybe if they streamline the process more, it might keep more Sprouts enthused, but if they condense it too much, then things happen too quickly, and then you actually sort of retain everything. And I think it's kind of nice to forget things and then rediscover them and go back and watch things and go, yo, that's what was happening. That's who that person is. Because I've had that a few times where I've gone, do I know this person? And then the chat's like, oh yeah, it's this person. Oh my god, yeah, they did XYZ. And so those experiences are really great. But also, something that I think we have to be fair to, and I think we've spoken about this before when we've spoken about story initially, is that we're experiencing the story from year 1, 10 years later. And many expansions have occurred. And also, the max level of the game is no longer level 50. The max level of the game is level 90, or I think level 90. Back when level 50 was the max level, and 2.0 was the final content, and then waiting 3, 4, 5 months for patch 2.1 and whatnot, people would have been doing, people have already told me they were grinding Mordona, they were grinding Fates, they were grinding the optional dungeons, because you needed to go and do some side quests and optional dungeons in order to actually get enough experience to hit level 50. Whereas nowadays they've streamlined it, because boy, that would be a chore if you had to go grind if you had to do the MSQ and then also had to grind all the other elements just to hit level 50, and then there's 4 more expansions, you'd be fried. So I actually want to be fair to
Well, I had to be 50 for the MSQ, like it wouldn't
exactly
queue up. Yeah.
Exactly. Back in the day, you wouldn't get to level 50 with the MSQ, so you had to go and grind Fates and Mordona, like daily things, and go and do the optional dungeons in order to get enough. Well, I guess you didn't have to do optional dungeons; you could just farm the ones you already did in the MSQ. But I imagine back in the day, people did the optional dungeons because it was extra content. So you needed to do those things in order to actually unlock the future elements of the game, whereas nowadays they've streamlined it. So to be fair to the devs on that one, like, that's why the MSQ can feel a bit like, oh, all I did was MSQ, none of the dungeons mattered, none of the Fates mattered, or anything else. Like, well, they did back when it was current. And if you compare it to, say, something like World of Warcraft, I mean, you go look at World of Warcraft's story. Last time I leveled in World of Warcraft, I would start a zone, like, I would go into Westfall at level, like, 10.
Yeah.
And I'd do, like, 3 or 4 quests in a dungeon, and I was level, like, 25. And I'm like, bro, I've not even I've done, like, 3 quests in this zone, I've not even finished the story, and I've already got to move on to the next zone, because I'm out-leveling things, I'm out-pacing things, so...
That's a good point.
I think that's something that I like to think about now with the story, and that's kind of shaped my opinion of the story and stuff in general.
One thing to bear in mind as well, which I do keep forgetting, but people keep telling me in, like, YouTube comments and stuff, is, like, because I've mentioned, and they're like watching the VODs back, and they're like, oh, by the way, you've got to remember when you're talking about ARR that a lot of people who tell you like ARR sucks, because I always say like ARR wasn't that bad. Like it's kind of annoying when people constantly say it sucks, constantly say just make it through ARR, keep like grit your teeth and go. But a lot of people probably haven't replayed it since it's actually had a lot of stuff cut out of it. It's apparently had like tons of quests and tons of like
something like 50 quests or something were removed, I think.
Yeah, which is like a decent chunk. I don't know how many total there are, like 160 or something, maybe.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, so it had like a lot of apparently like filler content cut out, which is probably like, you know, ingrained in people's brain as that's the era that they know, so they remember it as like being even longer than you just said yourself, like, oh, it could be a little bit shorter and stuff. So, you know, with extra filler in it as well, I can see why people would look back on it and just be like, kind of scuffed. But yeah, I think it was good. Like the payoffs it had were really good. The ending, I think was really good. Like I was really hyped about it. It definitely, like Garuda onwards was just like non-stop, like bang, 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 like good stuff. Kind of similar to how you mentioned, like with the post content, it's just like a lot of stuff happening all the time.
The post content's wild, honestly. Like, especially the last like 2-3 patches.
Yeah,
it ramps. It's really good. It's really, really good. I really liked it. Yeah. Sorry, were you gonna finish any other points there?
No, just I just wanted to kind of like say that a lot of the stuff that we've said so far today, we haven't really been taking into consideration that it used to be even longer. So, you know, you can see why people would have long-time players would have a different opinion in the same way that 10 years ago, like you just mentioned, it was a different game. Like when it's all current, you've got to play it completely differently. Whereas for us, it's it's in a way streamlining us
Yeah.
through and just being like get to Heavensward, and then Heavensward will probably be like get to what's it called?
Stormblood?
Stormblood. So it's like that'll. So they're kind of like pushing you through. But if you take the time to go and explore, like you can do fates, you can do coils, you can do all this other stuff, right? As you go. So it's nice to have the option, but
Yeah, 100% agree. Like, I think I'm so glad that I've done all the optional content as well. I know a lot of people kind of just say get through ARR and then the game gets good, but I'm so glad I've been sort of like stalling in a good way, where we spent maybe 3 to 4 weeks doing coils. Obviously not every single moment of every single day, and we did take some days off, and you know, I don't stream 7 days a week, yada yada, so like it's probably about 2 weeks of like actual sort of logged in time, or like, you know, like playing time, and I'm so glad that I did all the optional dungeons. I'm still working on, like, I'm gonna put out a YouTube video where I give my sort of opinion on every single optional dungeon. And
I actually watched the Eorzea one last night.
Oh yeah,
yeah, because I wanted to see if you had as hard a time as I did. And,
Pharos
I was like,
so hard.
I was like, only a 20-minute video. I was in there for over an hour, and then
that was
like,
heavily
he cut it. Yeah, he cut it.
yeah. Pharaoh's series I think was harder than some of the coils bosses.
Really?
Yeah. Well, okay. There's like objectively harder than some of the coils bosses.
Interesting. Okay.
But
I mean, that gives me hope that we're not going to be stuck on every coils boss for like multiple.
No, you
days.
will. You will be.
Well, like some of them, but surely not every single boss. Like some of them might be a walk. I don't know.
So, yeah, I won't say too much. Like, I want you to kind of experience it all and form your own opinion. So I won't even say it. What I will say is, like, the first boss of coils, when you first get there, you're like, oh wow, this is like, okay, all right, I gotta think here. Let's do this.
Okay.
And then you get to the final boss, and you go, oh my god, that first boss was a piece of shit. Like, that first boss sucked. Like, that was so easy. Imagine if we only had to do that. So the sort of the skill that I gained just from doing coils over the few weeks, I improved immensely. And like, I had people coming into my chat like, oh my god, you're using like third eye to prevent, to prevent the knockbacks, and you're using like, you're fainting the boss and stuff. Like, whoa, no way. You're already better than 99% of Final Fantasy players, and like doing that kind of stuff. I did accidentally instant physic instead of instant res on one of the players when we were on one of the bosses, and we had a 3% wipe. But I don't like to focus on the negatives, you know?
No. You should just go to the next pull, right?
Just go again next pull. So I may have delayed us killing that boss by a good 20-30 minutes, but it is what it is. So it definitely improved as a player, and like going in blind was phenomenal. I think it was one of the best experiences I've had in gaming, gaming, and then the story throughout is great. So yeah, I love that. Yeah, Eorzea, sorry, going back to your original point, that was a hard dungeon, but it was really good. I like put it up in S tier. I'm like, that's a great dungeon. Yeah,
it was a good dungeon and good music and stuff, and like it has a storyline because you actually revisit it from the MSQ. You see
it's
that
the
siren
simp.
as part.
It's the simp dungeon.
The simp dungeon, yeah, with the siren. Like you're like, oh, because I remember, walking past it when I was doing the MSQ. You got to go over there, and then.
Yeah, you think you're gonna build up to the dungeon, and then they're just go back to town, and you're like,
see you later. They're like, wait, what?
Come on, bro, get me in. Yeah.
But yeah, it was a good dungeon.
Yeah, it was good. I mean, the story of a lot of the dungeons, there's some of them were like meh. Some of the stories were a bit sort of like, hey, there's a thing in a cave and it's like killing adventurers. Can you go just kill it? And you're like, all right. And you go into the cave and then you kill the thing and you're like, all right, well, that was a dungeon. But then you go and do some of them and they're, again, I won't spoil any of them because I know you've not done all of them yet, but some of them are really, really good and they're wacky or silly.
Yeah, I was going to tell you, the dungeons I've done are Tamtara Hard, Hullbreaker Isle, Lost City of Andapur, Andapur Keep, Eorzea, Copperwell Mines Hard. Yeah, I think that's it. Wondrous Palace as well.
Yeah. Okay.
Aurum Vale, Zemel Darkhold. I think that was one of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dechamel Darkhold. Oh boy, what a
Shamaril. Yeah.
what a dungeon.
But Amdapor one was cool. Like I think like we met fucking like Diablo in there.
Oh yeah, Diabolus.
Diabolus, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
that was such a cool reveal. That was my favorite dungeon, hands down.
Really?
Yeah, because it was like
cool.
Underrot, wasn't it, when you first enter?
Yeah.
And then you sort of delve through. I love when a dungeon does that, when you sort of you feel like you're descending, and it feels like the dungeon isn't just sort of like it feels like it's 3D. It's got layers to it. It's not just one-dimensional in a sense. So yeah, I love that dungeon.
Yeah, it was nice. It was quite short. But I mean, it's really hard to avoid all spoilers, as you play the game, and especially if you interact in other streams. I usually, if I go into a stream, I just immediately scroll down to like look at their panels and just like chat and listen to the streamer. But sometimes you catch like a glimpse, and I recognized the boss room from Diablos or whatever it is.
Really?
So I think it's like something that you revisit, but I don't know anything more than that, to be honest.
Oh, right. Well, I think there's some times where like like sort of the neon, like luminescent flooring and stuff, the sigil sort of thing. I think they do that a couple times because I've experienced it.
Maybe it wasn't.
Like I've already experienced it again, sort of, not fully, but that's all I'll sort of say. But I think they do use that sort of room.
Okay, maybe it's just a common theme then.
Yeah. So, yeah. Sorry about the DCs there, chat, but we should be all good to go and stuff.
Yeah, I had it as well.
Is there? I know, obviously, we're gonna have Q&A soon. Are we cool to probably start heading towards Q&A soon?
Yeah,
I'm just thinking. I think we've been going now for about an hour and 15-ish. Should probably start doing Q&A soon. So, chat, feel free to. We can probably start getting Q&A. We can form like a line, I guess, like. If you want to ask a question, form a line in front of the stage. If you don't want to ask a question, just, I guess, shuffle away from the line, and we can start asking those in but a moment. I'm trying to think if there were any other things I wanted to ask you regarding the story. Did you have anything else that you sort of were interested in discussing to do with story?
I think we pretty much touched on everything. It's like sad that I haven't done a little bit more, but obviously I just wanted to kind of sideline, like, shelve the story for a couple of weeks now. I don't think I've done a quest in a couple of weeks now. While I do coils and investigate all that stuff, and as soon as coils is done, I'm probably going to get back on the MSQ train again. And Heaven's Sword in 2023. That's the plan. Not Heaven's Sword complete, but start Heaven's Sword in 2023 is the plan.
This is like your political campaign, like Heaven's Sword 2023, baby.
Heaven's Sword 2023.
Join me.
Make Eorzea great again.
Yeah, make Ishgard great again. Yeah. I think. I mean, you'll 100% be able to do it. I think.
Oh yeah.
I think it's great that you're doing what you're doing, though. I mean, I did the exact same thing, right? Where I finished 2.0 base, and then I leveled some more classes. I leveled Samurai. I started doing the optional dungeons, and I did all of those. I did all of Coils. I did Crystal Tower. I checked out Palace of the Dead. Like, go and exhaust the content, because I think as soon as you finish 2.55, you're going to want to jump into Heaven's Ward. Like, I've watched the trailer and everything today for Heaven's Ward, and I'm just like, I didn't even want... I'll be honest, Russ. As much as I love you, I didn't want to come do the podcast today. Because I'm just ready to go, you know what I mean? I'm ready to get into the next bit. So, I think... take your time. Because I think 2.0 ends at a good point where you're like, right, we've closed some doors now. You've not reopened anything. Whereas I think as soon as you start doing 2.5, like, get through all that, you're going to have new theories that you're theory crafting and new things, and it's going to hype you up for what's to come. So take your time, you know. I think it's good, obviously, that you're doing that.
Yep.
Yeah, cool. I think we covered a lot of stuff that I wanted to cover with the story. I think if we think of things in the future, I mean, there'll always be more to discuss. We'll do additional follow-up story podcasts. We'll always be doing them in the future. It would be nice one day if we can roughly catch up to a similar point with each other. I think we're, like, both in a good spot. I only just started doing post-patch content like 2 weeks ago, so I finished it in under 2 weeks. So it's once you get going on it again, it doesn't take too long to do.
Yeah, I'm kind of setting aside about a month or so for that.
Yeah, yeah, easily a month. I think you'll be fine. So we can start doing some questions now. I think it's weird. I've got it. There's something in this room that's causing me to frame drop.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna try and
I'm
like
having the same issue, yeah.
not move around too much. But there we go.
I might stand at the back over here or something.
Yeah. Maybe like, in fact, should we try going outside?
Yeah, we go
I
outside.
think. Sorry, Frag, to leave your. Bro, how do I get outside? Sorry to leave your lovely abode. Where do we go, bro? I'm trapped.
Yeah. You're a nice house.
Yeah, it's a lovely house.
Alright, we'll go to the garden.
We'll go into the garden just because, yeah, those frame drops are getting me. There must be some kind of spell effect or something in there. Yeah, it's the furniture and the minions. Ah, that'll be it. Yes, it might be the minions, actually. I think I had my minion out, so apologies. If you had a question, please just try and line up roughly in the same order that you were in. You can just, yeah, in front of me and Russ is fine. Roughly in the same order, like, you know, don't try and scam people. But, so I had a question from Stream, which was just, are you guys going to get people on the podcast at some point? Absolutely. That's already something we'd like to do. I mean, we've been making friends with people in the community. We're about to go to FanFest in 11 days. Me and Russ are actually sharing a room. Me, Russ, and CC Lemon. Yo!
Let's go!
Let's go, baby! We still haven't decided. So there's a double bed, there's a couch bed, and there's like a sofa or something like that. Pull-out bed. We still haven't decided who's getting what. But, you know, I think the streamer who's the furthest along with the MSQ should get the bed. Specifically streamer, because CC Lemon is in Endwater.
Isn't he? Yeah.
Nah, he's a dad. He's used to sleeping heavy, so he doesn't need the bed. I think, I can take that one. Yeah. But when we're at FanFest, we're going to be meeting a bunch of streamers like, I don't know, Todd and Ponto and like all those dudes, and I'm sure we'll have conversations and try and get them onto the podcast at some point.
Yeah, for sure.
Obviously, when it makes sense as well. Like, I'd love to. So I've reacted to UCOB, which is like one of the ultimates. So I would like to get somebody on eventually to talk about like fight design, dungeon design, stuff like that. When we get to point story, like we'll get people on for sure.
Oh yeah. We'll make a hit list and we'll just try and flag people down over time.
Yeah.
We wanted to do what, like 5 or 6 episodes by ourselves, like maybe like 5 episodes by ourselves, and then start bringing on people. So if we can try and get some loose connections and plans going at FanFest, then probably do like one more with us, 1 or 2 more with just us, and then grab people whenever it fits our schedule, really. Yeah,
for sure. And like we've so we want to do it when it makes sense, and we also want to, like, if you guys have suggestions for people, feel free to, like, I don't know, go talk to people and see if they'd be interested as well, because that also can help. Like, obviously don't go be like, yo, you need to go do it and like start spamming them with messages, but like if it just comes up naturally in conversation, we'd for sure be interested in having all sorts of people on. There's already people that I know that I want to try and get on, so we will for sure get people on. But Russ, do you want to get the first question from the gamer Volpers?
Yeah, looks like we have Volps. Go for it. Just type it out in game chat, I guess, and we'll just read it from there.
Yeah.
I've had people I've just told people in my chat to type stuff in chat as well, and I'll just cherry pick a couple.
Yeah, sure.
As well. All right, this is a question I have asked before, but Mighty Russ, I must implore you. Fantasia is the cat. This is not a question. Okay, I'll think about it.
Currently in Aura. Yeah, you've been in Aura for too long, I think. So you need to Fantasia soon.
You haven't used your Fantasia from finishing ARR yet, have you?
I have it in my bags. It is right here. I am doing a subathon. Oh, sorry, not a subathon, a Psybeathon starting Monday. Yeah, it's not. It's because apparently you're not allowed to call it a subathon if you don't stream 24 hours a day. Like if you turn your stream off, it's not a subathon. My friends have like been giving me a lot of grief over that, so I've called it a Psybeathon. Now I can do whatever I want, and I can call it whatever I want. So no rules apply. But one of the things is I might Fantasia there. You know, I might look to Fantasia. I want the bunny.
I call it a subathon. After all, it is a marathon, right? Like you do it over a period of days. I used to do it no sleep, but I'm too old for that now, so I've started So
Is
we
that
have
a is that a puppy? Can we
There's a puppy. Yeah.
can we see the puppy?
I think they're going for walkies. Sadly,
Ah, unlucky.
There is a
Damn,
puppy.
when's your walk? When do you get that in?
I don't. I
Yeah.
walk from here to the kitchen and back.
Gamer.
Gamer.
Gamer. Right. Next question from Haruka. What have you got for us?
Haruka's going to FanFest, I believe, as well. So.
Oh, really? Amazing. By the way, actually, Russ, we do have a private Discord that we've been trying to get people in for FanFest meetup.
Oh yeah.
But we're trying to I don't know if I've even invited you, but I think we're trying to do invite people that we're trying to sort of, we don't want to just mass invite everyone because then it might get too clogged and crowded. We're waiting for people to sort of get at us and then get people involved in that so we can arrange meetups and stuff like that. So if anyone from your community, and I don't know if you're planning something, but yeah, there's 5 of us in it at the moment, but if anyone in your community want to join, I'll get you hooked up to that so that we can start planning some stuff, because we need to me and you are going to both be there on the Thursday, Friday, Saturday, so we'll get stuff sorted and get that planned.
Yeah. Did you flag down a ticket? I saw Narco was selling one, by the way. I don't know if...
I almost did. So yeah, Narco was selling his ticket. I was like, how much for it? And he was like, oh, somebody's offering me 300. I was like, fuck that.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, the ticket on its own, fair enough, £300. Okay, maybe it's once in a lifetime opportunity. It's in London. Okay. But then it would have been 2 additional nights of hotels. It would have been all the merch I would have gone and bought. It would have been the extra day of food and drink and whatever. It would have easily been, just hotel and the tickets alone would have been an extra £600, close to. So I was just I can't afford. BlizzCon's coming up, nah, bro.
True.
No. But I wish. What about you? Did you get one?
No. I just saw that you'd looked into it. I was like, oh yeah, maybe. I thought maybe he would give it to you since you guys kind of know each other, right? And then I was just gonna be me by myself without a ticket.
Bro, I was like, Naka, how much for the ticket? No, and he probably paid 150, 160. He was like, oh, this other guy's offering me 300. I'm thinking, I've hung out with Naka, okay? I've hung out with him at TwitchCon. I'm thinking he's gonna be like, look, this guy's offered me 300, but bro, for you, Sai, I'll do it for 200. Rates. Mates rates. Right. Motherfucker was like, yeah, this guy's offered me 300.
Do I hear 400?
400! Do I hear 400? Sold to the balding man in the front. So I was like, all right, never mind, no worries. No, but even the ticket, honestly, it would have been too expensive. But next time, Russ, we'll go next time, man. We'll fly to Paris, or whatever the hell it's gonna be. No problem.
Japan and what is it? Oh, it's straight after New Year.
We could go to Japan, actually.
Yeah.
All right, we just need to hold a couple subathons. Get Operation Get Sai and Russ to Japan.
Yep.
But we'll try.
Yeah.
So, Sai, I have heard that you reached Heavensward today. So in one sentence, how can you sum up the experience of Final Fantasy XIV up until now? No spoilers, obviously, because of Russ, and see you at FanFest, you two. Haruka, I'm very much looking forward to meeting you, and everyone else at FanFest. Come say hi, of course.
Come say hi if you see us, yeah.
How can you sum up your experience of FF14 up until now? This is a long-winded one. I'll try and keep it somewhat streamlined, and I'm happy to give a longer, more in-depth one in future. But for me, it's been sort of, I don't want to say life-changing, because I think that's probably a little bit dramatic, but let's just put it this way. I've been streaming Final Fantasy for 2 months now, including doing blind progress of content, which, in the grand scheme, Coils isn't the hardest thing, but going in blind, there's a challenge there, yada yada. Played the game for 2 months now. I've experienced my first house party, my first RP session, all the support of everyone in the community coming saying, sending me off as I finished ARR and everything, and all the story, everything I've experienced. And I've loved every moment of it. Haven't gotten frustrated or angry or anything annoyed at all at any point. I played World of Warcraft on Monday because the Final Fantasy servers were down. I played World of Warcraft for 1 day. I got frustrated 3 times, and I almost lost my cool 4 times. So I think that sort of kind of explains it, but it's been absolutely phenomenal. I even had the realization the other day where from a streamer perspective, my friend, I saw that some WoW content creators have been invited to Irvine, to Blizzard headquarters, like Mr. GM and Touchpad Warrior and Max and stuff. They've been invited to Blizzard headquarters, and I'm there going, oh man, I'm so jealous. Being a content creator, I'd love to be invited to that sort of thing. And then my friend CC Lemon was like, yeah, but I was like, oh man, I wish I was like, you know, bigger WoW content creator. And he was like, Joe, you're not a WoW content creator. And I'm like, what? And he's like, yeah, you're not a content creator. All you did was run Mythic Plus. That's not content. And I sort of had this like Louis Soir kind of moment where I was like, oh my god. And it's sort of like, it's just changed me, you know? And I've gone, you're right, I wasn't a content creator for that game. And I look at the sort of videos I've been doing for Final Fantasy and I've gone, I'm doing racks, I'm doing raid content, dungeon content, opinion pieces, like RP videos, like I'm house parties, like podcast. I'm doing so many things.
Making
and, like,
content.
I'm making content. Like, okay, racked content, fair enough. You know, ooh, what are the best relic weapons? But like, I'm doing all these things, and I actually feel like I'm engaging with the community. This now, I mean, look at this. Look at all these people here gathered with us. Like, this game has been just, again, I don't want to say life-changing because it feels a little bit dramatic for a video game, but it's been very eye-opening. It's changed a lot of my perspective, and I wake up every single day just happy to log into this game and play and share it with all of you. And Heaven's Ward today, the conclusion of Heaven's Ward was the coolest thing I've done in this game. Just everyone being there in the chat and everything.
Yeah.
Insane. I don't know if you have anything to add on to that, Russ, but...
Well, yeah, like, for me, I'm, like, well and truly here for... Like, I'm in the same boat as you. Like, I was just, like, a WoW streamer, not a WoW, like, notable... Like you've had in your title for the past couple of weeks, like notable WoW player. Or,
hey,
like,
Asmongold called me a notable person. Like, what do you want me to do? He said
I was
it.
like, I was a little bit like, why are you like? I don't know. Maybe we should talk about this off stream, right? But I was like, you need to embrace Final Fantasy more, right? Because like over here, people are like looking up to you, wanting to know your whereabouts and this and that. And I'm sure like there was obviously a bunch of people who did that for you in WoW, like mainly the feral enjoyers and stuff, like what's Side's opinion on this, what's Side's opinion on that. So you definitely had that going. Like I never really had much of that. Like maybe at one point a couple people came to me for like Demon Hunter stuff, but like now you've got a much wider net in like almost like a golden opportunity, right? So you want to embrace like the position that you're in right now, really, and just like go whole hog into FF. That'd be my advice. That's what I'm gonna do because, well, I have way more fun in this game than I've probably ever had in WoW. At least for a very, very long time, right? Like,
do you mean like with saying like, oh, WoW player does this, WoW player does that? Do you mean like toning that down? Is that what you mean?
I think eventually we'll probably both tone that down.
Yeah, I'll be honest.
I think right now that is a selling point at the same time.
That's all it is. Yeah.
People want to hear, people do respect and appreciate and want to hear like the perspective of a WoW player. So I think it's beneficial to keep using that tagline. But like
I'm kind of getting old of it. Like I'm already heading towards the
Yeah.
point where I don't really want to do it. Like even to I don't
yeah.
know if I had it in my title today or what. I don't like doing it. It's literally just like you gotta like not clickbait, but you gotta like you gotta draw people in with stuff. And like you said, I mean, the videos where you put WoW player does X, just do better. Streams where you have it in the title, like, I don't know, maybe do better. But I'm already sort of just, I want to just do, like, new player, like new FF player or something, because
I've tried
I don't
that.
like it.
It doesn't work as well.
It doesn't work. I mean, that's the thing, right? Like, the other thing works.
New player, it doesn't work as well as like WoW Refugee and like X-WoW player and stuff like this, right? My arc was gonna be like, right now it's like WoW player, WoW like Refugee, competitive WoW player, like stuff like that, right? 'Cause people like to hear that perspective, and I think a perspective that there aren't that many of, especially people like us who have done a ton of hours into like competitive side of WoW. Like everyone can say, "Oh, I'm an ex-WoW player" if they like play casually, but having someone who's raided Mythic and done all of this for many years and done like competitive M+ and stuff, like that's an opinion that's a bit harder to find. So you do want to kind of play the cards that you have and take advantage of that, right? So
what's it called? A unique is it USP? What's
USP.
it? Yeah, it's your unique selling point. Like it's annoying, but it's like one of those things you got.
At the end of the day, for us, like this is like I don't really like getting into the whole business side of it, but like we do have to grow our channels and stuff like that, and stay relevant, try and get become more relevant and stuff. So there's like an element of that to it, like behind the scenes. But like at the end of the day, I think if you just put WoW player or like just new player looks at raids encounters or something wouldn't go as well as like X Mythic WoW raid.
Yeah.
Like people want to see like how the different, like how your brain works, being accustomed to how it works in WoW and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
Compared to just like, you know, anyone could be under the net of like under that umbrella of just like, I'm a new Final Fantasy player, you know. So
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean,
we definitely have like a trait there. that we
yeah,
should take
it's
advantage
what's funny as well for me though is like I went and played. So obviously the Final Fantasy servers were down on Monday for maintenance because of the new patch, and I went and played WoW, and I did Mythic Plus, right?
of. Big mistake.
I kind of want to just go start playing Classic, because I just
Yeah.
find that more enjoyable. Like I just find
Yeah.
that way better as an MMO experience, and I find it a lot closer. Like I think A Realm Reborn and Classic WoW are way
Yeah.
closer than people really give
Yeah.
them credit for.
I've been saying that for
The
weeks
sort of
now.
like small wins, you know, you have big story payoff that slowly builds in Final Fantasy. In WoW, it's like equal and opposite, where it's like it's not story payoff, but it's like, oh, I've finished this zone, or I've got like 20 quests to go turn in, or I've like got my new level and I get a new talent point, or I've got my bear form. You have these small wins constantly. I got my first green item, I get my first dungeon, and
you
it
got
feels
quests,
akin to that with Final Fantasy, where you're getting these small wins constantly, where you're like, oh, I unlocked a trial now, or I unlocked a new dungeon, or whatever. But I went and played WoW, and I was doing Mythic Plus. I had more Final Fantasy viewers checking me playing WoW than I had WoW players returning to watch me do keys, which was really weird. It's it's been really interesting coming and playing Final Fantasy and then going and playing WoW and realize that like I have the occasional people, like I've had the occasional person sort of come in and be like, hey, why have you quit WoW? In fact, I had a guy last night, I logged in to play some WoW, I joined his Mythic Plus dungeon, and then he said, OMGs, real Psy. And I was like, hey, unfortunately. And he's like, why have you quit WoW? I'm like, bro, I'm in your group. Like, what do you mean, why have I quit WoW? Like, I'm in the game with you right now. Like, I'm in your dungeon. What do you mean, why have I quit? I'm here. Yeah. So I've had a lot of people who are sort of like, you know, oh, Psy's quit, Psy's gone. I think even Scriped was like, oh, have you quit WoW and stuff like that.
Really?
Yeah. He was like, oh, are you coming back to WoW at some point?
Saying like, Scripe, you didn't log in for 12 hours. Have you quit Final Fantasy?
That's not why I memed on him, but like, because that's just the standard line. But I mean, even I was worried then because I was like, bro, I want to do Race Toward First Casting. I can't have all these teams thinking that I've quit WoW. Like, so I've started to like sort of panic where I'm like, I need to stream some WoW or do something. I'm casting a WoW event on Sunday and like for Break the Meta, which will be cool. But like, I'm like, oh, I want to keep my toe dipped into the WoW scene because I don't want people just to sort of like forget me, you know? But it's weird because it's like you also want to be appreciated, but you want to not be forgotten by the people you're appreciated by. Because if you're not appreciated by them, who cares if they forget you? So it's like. It's a weird sort of feeling I'm going through right now, but
so like, do you want to become relevant in WoW again one day? Like, is it like, are you just kind of here?
I don't know.
Back, or are you here to stay, kind of thing?
I sort of want to be relevant in both, because that's like, why not? You know, like I definitely see my long-term goal being a Final Fantasy like streamer, but I can't really like. WoW has been the game I played as my. I've been playing WoW 8 hours a day every day for the last 20 years. You know what I mean? It's weird to just sort of leave it, but I don't know, because like WoW players hate WoW players, and WoW players hate streamers, and streamers hate WoW players, and classic WoW players hate retail players. Like everyone just hates everyone. And I remember like when I was the feral guy, and the Discord of like the feral Discord would like hate me if I like said one thing that was like kind of right but not fully right, and like, you know, I'll be like, oh, well, you need to AoE in like 5 targets, and like, oh, technically it's 4, and I'm like, okay, like whatever, bro. When you ever pull, you're always pulling 10 mobs, like shut the fuck up, just get on with it. Like I just felt so like under scrutiny, whereas I don't feel under scrutiny in the Final Fantasy community. I actually had somebody in my Discord said that Pyro was reacting to one of my videos the other day on his stream, and I got nervous. Like I just instantly, and like Sarah Jane has watched one of my videos before as well. I get nervous whenever I find out that people are reacting to my content, because I'm like, well, my YouTube content isn't good, and like, what if they say something bad about me because they don't think I'm smart enough, or they don't think I'm good enough at this game, and like instantly I just go defensive. And then I was like, oh, let me know what Pyro said, and then apparently Pyro was like, oh, like, you know, said some good things, and then said like, oh, you know, like keep on the hustle or whatever, like that kind of thing. And I was like, oh
yeah, you don't get grilled.
Oh, I didn't get absolutely shit on by someone.
Like, oh, you misspoke one time in WoW, and people will burn you for months over it, kind of thing, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Especially if you're like a figurehead, like for you, like with Feral Druid and stuff, like you said about Discords and things. Like I remember I made a video which was just about Demon Hunter stuff back in Shadowlands, and I called it the Gambler build because I was like, this is kind of an RNG.
Yeah, I remember this.
Based on like getting procs off Dark Glare Medallion, which is like a 40% chance to reset I-beam, right? And I was like, oh, if it pays off, you do loads of big damage. So I was like, oh, Gambler build, because generally RNG builds like with like Elemental Shaman and stuff, they call it Gambler build. So I was like, oh, it's a DH Gambler build. And then people like thought it was fun. They found it fun to play, and then everyone started being in DHS go like, is this the new best build? Is this the new best build? And then everyone's like calling me an idiot, and I'm just like, I just made a fun build. Like, it's just a bunch of talents where I was like trying to play a little bit off meta because it was a simple brand patch, which is super boring, right?
Yeah.
So I was like, I just wanted to find a build that used Blade Dance and Death Sweep and stuff. And everyone's like rinsing me over it. It's like,
everyone's like, oh my god, you're not playing the absolute best talents. And you're like, bro, shut the fuck up. Like, who are you, bro? Like, that's why my sub emote alert is like Gromnak being like, oh, my push weak, like, who are you, bro? What you pushing, bud? Because it's just like, everyone takes it so seriously, and it's like, bro, like, I played with Convoke as Feral. It's suboptimal. I don't care. Like, it doesn't matter. I'm not doing plus 30s or 32s. It just doesn't matter, so. Yeah, but no, I definitely want to, I like how welcomed we've been by not only the players of Final Fantasy, but also the streamers, and I think going to FanFest is going to be even, like, better to just, like, it feels like other Final Fantasy streamers are, like, genuinely happy for your success. There's no, like, jealousy and stuff, or, like, combativeness, and going to FanFest, I think, is going to be awesome. Even though we're not going for the actual, like, event, I think it's even better that we're just going to Thursday and Friday, because we're just going to be able to, like, relax with everyone. Like, I'm sort of glad we're not there on the Saturday, Sunday. That's why I didn't book those days. Because stuff will get spoiled. They're going to go and, like, see the convention anyway. Oh, sorry, Ponto. Yeah, go on, Ponto, of course, bro. All right, I'll buy your first beer. I'm sorry.
You're Ponto.
Sorry, Guinness. Right. Sorry, I got you, bro. So Ponto, do you want to sleep with me and Russ? We're gonna be in the same hotel room. Join us. So yeah, no, I'm like stoked to go meet people and like sort of talk about the game, and yeah, it's great. It's great. Yeah.
Alright, we're all three of us, me, you, and Ponto, are gonna chug a Guinness together. How about that?
I'll slam a Guinness. I like Guinness, man. I like it. That's one of my favorite drinks. Probably my favorite drink to drink. Actually,
really?
I like a Blue Moon as well. Actually,
all right, chill.
I like a Blue Moon as well. That's good. That's good. But yeah, do we have more questions as well? By the way,
I have a two-parter actually.
Yeah, go for it.
A really good one. My chat started going in on it as well. So
yeah.
It's a two-parter. Right. How do you think WoW would be affected if Blizz switched over to an MSQ style of questing experience? Do you think the community would be happy that they put a larger focus on story, or would they complain that it's too different from how WoW has been over the years? And then as a follow-up, or what if WoW pulled an ARR and blew up the world to make WoW 2, and you could import your characters into the new game? But they start an entirely new story. Would you want them to do an MSQ style in that case?
Can I say, so straight off the bat, WoW players are going to complain no matter what the hell you do. So honestly,
it's a different breed,
fuck them. Like, the devs should do, like, Chris Messon's back at the helm. Like, there are so many small fires constantly being fought in the WoW community. I genuinely, like, the 1% think the game is designed for the casuals think the game is designed for the 1%. Like,
yeah.
There's so much infighting, it's insane, and so I don't know, like, WoW players are going to complain no matter what.
Last week, there was, like, 6 things that happened on the WoW Twitter, like, right? There was, like, 6 pieces of drama in 1 week, and it's just, like, that's almost one a day, and that's not even, like, classic WoW and, like, the DCing issues and stuff like that. Like,
God,
that's not even causing it drama, right?
Mental.
But yeah, like, WoW players will... I think honestly it would probably force a lot of people to quit. I mean, a lot of people quit WoW over something like the social contract. Like, they put a social contract in the game where it basically just said, yo, you guys should probably be nice to each other. And then people were like, this is ridiculous.
Yeah,
how dare you
woke
ask me to respect
like...
my fellow players? Like, like bringing like gender stuff into it and all this, and it's just like, it's not that deep, bro. It's just like, yo, be nice to one another, treat others how you'd wish to be treated. That's like, it was like so surface level, and people are like, I'll never forgive Blizzard for this, I am straight up quitting the game forever. And it's like, what?
Yeah.
Like, I'd love to, like, see inside the average WoW player's brain. Like some of the people that have those kind of takes is crazy. But I think to the question at hand, like, it's easy for us to say, having experience now the MSQ style of play, I would say like yes, it would be great for like my enjoyment, because I think now having done a game in this way, I like that there's like you have a quest line. I think they have a similar style actually now in recent years. Now that I think about it, they have a campaign. You do have a campaign that you complete in each zone.
Yeah.
So it is
and
kind
there
of
is
already
voice
there.
acting. There's like the text boxes that pop up, and there is some voice acting.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, and they do insert your character into like mini cutscenes, but not as often.
Do you think it would be better if they maybe kept things how they are, but they hit you with the cutscenes that were skippable, but like it would actually sort of lock you in and sort of like engage your characters looking at the quest giver and stuff like that? Or do you not think that would be good in WoW?
I don't see why it would be bad. Like I've mentioned quite often, like the attention to detail that you have in Final Fantasy, right? Like in a cutscene, your character's looking at that person, and then they look over at that person when they speak, and then they look over there, and
then
like
your character does this.
Yeah, it goes. Yeah. They should definitely put in like a general voice line. I mean, it's obviously budget and stuff, but even just a small couple words like "yep."
Nah, bro.
For each of your, because you choose a voice on the character creation screen, don't you? Right.
Yeah.
Like they could just record a few lines for each voice.
Yoshi P needs to get under the couch and pick up all the loose coins, man. Try and scrape together a little bit of budget.
It must have something by now. Like I've bought a few Fantasias. I know a lot of people in my chat buy Fantasias all the time. I honestly think that's funding. Like I think someone told me that the cash shop literally is why we have an EU data center, like EU data centers.
EU dentist center.
You
can actually get free dentistry if you're a Final Fantasy player. You go and you show them your adventure plate. Get the free dentistry. Yeah, there you go. The cash shop is probably the reason why. I mean, things have amped up quite a bit, and I mean, for me, like I think WoW could copy it, but in its own way, just like Final Fantasy does its own spin as well. I think you could tune things a little bit differently for WoW, where again, like maybe just more of sort of like a lock-in with cutscene type things, just where you're more immersed. I think would be good. I don't think I don't know where WoW's story is. Like this is a question I sort of give to people when it comes to Final Fantasy. Final Fantasy is 50% the age of what WoW is. WoW's 20. It's 19 in like anytime now, November or something, or like next year or whatever. I don't know. It's like 20 years old, and I say Final Fantasy have just completed their story, like concluding with Endwalker, right? It's taken 10 years. If you double the length of that, how cohesive and fluid and stuff is the story gonna be? And are they gonna do? Because if you look at WoW started the way of like A Realm Reborn to some degree. So you had the original 3 games. Burning Crusade was all about Illidan. It was a character we knew and grew with in Warcraft 3 and Frozen Throne, and like we knew a lot about that character. We knew a lot about Arthas and the Lich King for Wrath of the Lich King. When that ended, everything after that was sort of just like, okay, let's just go here and do this. Okay, now let's just go here and do this. And it was sort of fragmented and didn't really have the overarching story. But it started off with, like you were building towards the Wrath of the Lich King and stuff, and that sort of, or at least building to these characters that you'd met previously, so it made sense. I wonder how Final Fantasy is going to go, and this is more of a question I pose to the Final Fantasy players, where are they going to do 5 standalone expansions, or are they going to do like 2 expansions, and then they're going to sort of figure out what people like and then go more into a solidified direction with the story and stuff. So I just think, let's see how Final Fantasy goes after 20 years of play. But for WoW, I think they could do a few things. I know for definite that when the new expansion comes out, I am reading every single bit of quest text. I'm doing every zone start to finish, and I'm going to sit, and I don't care if I get 10 viewers, I'm going to play through at my own pace and experience the whole thing and see how good it is. And
I think so.
Yeah.
I actually completely forgot that they had the campaign thing. Now that I think about it, you did have to do the MSQ in Dragonflight. You had to do every zone, and every zone has a certain amount of chapters and stuff. So they kind of have actually put that in the game. I'm not sure when was the last time that a lot of these Final Fantasy players played. I completely forgot that was a thing, but yeah, I don't think they did it before Dragonflight. They had like a campaign, usually for like patch content where you'd have like 3 chapters or something. But they actually did it this time around where you could level up however way you wanted, kind of like Final Fantasy, but to like unlock the rest of the content and the max level content and like world quests and all that, you did have to do every zone's story. And I actually really enjoyed the Dragonflight leveling.
Yeah,
I didn't like read every quest. Yeah, I didn't read every quest, but I did take an interest in it, and that's probably like the most I've been like interested in the story for a while. I think like Shadowlands, I was quite engaged in the first part, and then I like got to like Revendreth, and I was like I don't really care anymore about the story.
Yeah.
Even though that was where like it was kind of like setting up for Side and Aphris and stuff, that was where it like kind of lost me. But Dragonflight kind of kept me all the way till the end with like I really like Nol's Dumo and stuff, and like the time, like the Bronze Dragonflight with the time, and like the Chromie scenario thing, and like was a bit wacky in the last zone. It like pulls you back in when you were like just about to start being like, it's getting a bit long, arduous now with these 10 levels or whatever. But it did like pull you back in. I think like re-engaging the player is like really, really important. I kind of touched on this in a video I posted today about like things I think Final Fantasy does better, and it's like immersion, world building, and storytelling was like just one overarching point of it. Obviously I could go into like more specifics about each thing, but like it's just really small things that like re-immerse you in the game. Something like a point I made was like getting on a mount, and the mount has a theme tune, in Final Fantasy, and it kind of like, just as like you might be autopiloting like, okay, I gotta go over here, gotta go do that, but then you hit a mount roulette, and then like, ooh, like a song I really like comes on, like I mounted a mount which plays a song which I am like, ooh, that's a really nice song, and it like draws you back into the game when you were on like autopilot and you were kind of just going from A to B to C, do an MSQ, talking to the 10 people between the 3 mobs that you kill. And it kind of like grips you back in and re-engages you into the game, and like it's just like small things like that. I think maybe that's WoW's bigger problem. It's that like the player is a little bit robotic and on autopilot, I think, because like they're conditioned like end game is what the game's about. You're building up to the end game and stuff. So yeah, just kind of keeping you living in the moment a little bit more, I think, would benefit them more than like putting particular focus on the story, because like the story in WoW is pretty good for the most part. Like let's call Shadowlands a blip. But in general, the story and the lore that's there is usually quite good. It's just very badly told in game. Like it's very hard to find.
You have to go read a book outside the game to figure it out.
Like, and like I think even something as small as like I said this before, make it so that in Final Fantasy, to skip you kind of have to hit escape like 3 times, or you have to like click through a bunch of dialogue boxes and stuff. It's quite hard. In WoW, you just get an add-on that auto turns into quests, and it's like that's it. It just auto accepts it. The thing pops up for like a millisecond, disappears. You have no idea what you're doing. You just look straight to the right-hand side of your screen where your questy is, and it's like, all right, kill 3, like collect 3 mole asses or something, right? Like,
I think like that's probably like a player problem as well, though, with WoW. Like, I think just like everyone's in this rush with WoW, and I don't really get it, especially during the first 2 weeks where there's no raid, there's no Mythic Plus, and then people are just like in a rush to
one session
get like max level, and max level only takes like 8 hours anyway. So it's like, why are you even rushing? You've got 2 weeks before any of the content comes out. You're gonna gear up in half a day anyway, and it's. WoW has very much become like, the modern game has just become this massive rush, and it's like, is anyone even enjoying the journey or the experience? And I think that's partly sort of a player problem, and for me, I'm not going to contribute to that anymore. When I play the next WoW expansion, I am going to I'm going to read everything. I'm going to take my time. I don't give a shit what anyone else is doing. Again, I don't care if I get 10 viewers, like none of that matters, because my enjoyment's going to come first when it comes to that stuff. So Yeah, I don't know. I think that's partly a player problem as well. But in the same vein, I've got a question here from someone in game, from Belial, saying, simple question, what do you think about the job quest? Do you like the fact you have to do job quests with a storyline tied to it, especially the advanced job like Dragoon or Summoner in your case? So if you've already talked about it, yeah, no problem. Yeah, I mean, like, that's kind of playing into this sort of story question as well. Oh, wait, that was a question that you asked.
No. Like,
oh.
That's my answer. Just like, yeah, because like I think we've touched on it a little bit before. But yeah, go on. I'll expand in a sec.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say, like, I like that it adds an extra layer. I like that I'll get different voice lines based on the fact of if I'm a Dragoon or not. Going into like Heaven's Ward.
Is that how deep it goes? Like,
yeah.
You get different. If you do the story as a dragon, you get different voices. That's cool.
Yep.
So I guess because like that's your character's lore, then it's like, oh, you must know about this. So they maybe explains slightly different. That's cool.
Yeah, exactly. Like you meet like there's characters and then you interact with them and then they speak to you differently, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
But I think it's good because I remember doing like I like that there's an overarching story, but I also really like small sort of like hometown stories. So I like when a story isn't this big, massive, like, crystal floating in the sky that's, like, giving you the power of 1,000 gods to do a thing. And it's, like, these shadowy figures popping out of the abyss to taunt you. Like, that's cool.
Yeah.
And that'll play out. But I also like a story where it's like, hey, there's this guy whose, like, family were killed by this thing, and the only person that was able to stop him was, like, the person of that job. And that job person failed, and so this person's here to, like, take revenge on those people who failed them. And, like, it's just more of, like, a grounded sort of, I don't want to say, like, a real life story, but it's something a bit more, like, close to home and more relatable. Yeah. So I like those little sort of additions that are a little bit more hometown comfort. I guess is what I think.
Yeah, I've heard that they removed. I think it's maybe even after ARR or after Heaven's Sword or something. They don't have class quests anymore. It turns into job, like overarching job quests. So like role quests. Sorry. So they don't have like job quests. They change it to role quests. Yeah. And so you've got like a melee DPS one, a range DPS one, a tank, and a healer one. And it's like here's only 4. Maybe they're a bit more fleshed out, so they're still good. But yeah, I really like again, like to compare to Classic WoW, you know, in Classic WoW you have the class quests.
The warrior quest. I never even did it, but I just like when I see a warrior doing it, I'm like, yo, that's so cool. I'm so happy for them.
Yeah, and it's like a big pivotal moment in like your personal story as you go. And again, like that's I think why I'm a little bit like done with retail. And if I'm gonna play WoW, I'm probably gonna play Classic.
Yeah.
Because it does feel a little bit more just like a bit more like innocent in a way, and you know, you are just kind of someone, an adventurer spawned into the world doing your thing, and like becoming a warrior, kind of similar how we're like becoming a warrior of light, like we're blessed with a gift, and then it's like we still need to put in some graft ourselves, right, and uncover things, solve stories, solve problems, and yeah, they're like small problems. They start small and then they get bigger and bigger and bigger, but it's not like everyone's on their knees for us, you know. Like I go to unlock a optional dungeon and the guy's like, oh yeah, cool, I heard you say the black wolf or something, great.
Yeah, hey, but, piece of shit, get in there.
Like my brother's like stuck under a rock in a cave, so can you go do that? Like they're not just like, oh my god, the hero of the land, you know, like my savior. They do sometimes say stuff like, oh yeah, it shouldn't be much of a hassle for you and stuff, but they don't glorify you too much, which is quite nice.
Yeah, it's like they treat you like your mom trying to get you to like get a box out of the loft or something, where they're like, "Ooh, you're so strong!" Like, thanks, honey. And you're like, "No problem. All in a day's work, ma'am." Yeah, I like that sort of stuff. Do we have another question from who have we got? We've got two softies. Or Ross, do you have another question from your chat? I think you just asked the last one, didn't you, from your chat?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Okay, I'll ask one from my chat really quick. So this is a quick fire round. I got a question for both of you to answer in turns. Now that you've spent time in FF, despite being way early into it, is there something you feel you only found and loved in FF and no other MMO? Something that really surprised you? Yeah, house parties. I think the house parties was something that I didn't... I remember, like, first playthrough... Really? I only found out about them because of Preach, where I like ages ago, Preach went to his first one, and that was advertised massively. I remember CC Lemon went to it and was like, yo, no way, he's a Bell's buddy. And I remember looking at it and being like, very briefly, and being like, oh my god, that's like my worst nightmare. That just seems so like, you know, weird. And then I played, and I went to my first house party, and bro, I was vibing. I was like, this is sick. I know you go to him like weekly, don't you, or daily?
No, not that much. I've been to two.
Okay.
To two. We did one where we went to Nefsi's like, party, and then I had a sub goal, and it was like, okay, if we hit the sub goal by the end of the week, we'll go partying on Friday, and then we just had like a long stream where we went partying, did some shenanigans, had a couple drinks. It was nice. Like we just found a random party. Like there's a website called partake.gg, and just has all the events like listed up there, and you can just pick a random thing. It tells you which DJs are playing, and then you're just like, that sounds cool. It was like a 80s, 90s, 2000s night. There's some cheesy Britney Spears stuff in there, and like the DJs were just really good. One of them even like came into my chat, like, because I've actually wanted to, you know, try my hand at DJing at some point myself for a couple of years.
Nice. Yeah, okay, you gotta let me know when you do that.
It's been something I've wanted to do for a couple of years, and then I was like, maybe this is like a sign, you know, like, you know, it exists in this game. I really like the game. Maybe this is it. Like, this is my arc. I learned to DJ. I put on a set or something. Like that's like a little goal.
Can't wait to see you at Ibiza.
Ibiza, mate.
Ibiza, mate.
on a Tuesday, innit?
On a Tuesday, innit? Ibiza.
Yeah. So someone came in and they were like, it was one of the DJs from that party, and they were like, yo, if you want some lessons, I can just give you some DJ lessons and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, great. Like, it's just all this, like, again, it's like just generosity of people. Like, it was just like, yeah, if you want, I can just show you the ropes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So really cool. But yeah, I also thought, like, because I didn't know about them until I started watching some FF streams, you know, around the time of coming over, and I learned about them, and then I was like, oh, that looks pretty cringe. Yeah. And then I got to it, and I was like a little bit like, oh, I don't know, like how long I'm gonna stream this party, guys. And then I'm just sat there like 5 hours later, like having a great time, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was actually quite a nice surprise, I guess. With
For sure. That was a nice surprise to me, and then it's like the player housing in general, I think it's absolutely abysmal if MMOs these days don't have player housing, because it creates so much natural just like interaction, and you can like plan events, and like we're doing here with this and the house parties and everything. I just think it's phenomenal. So yeah, I didn't realize how good player housing was until I played FF, but those are probably my things for that. And I think two softest. Did you say you've forgotten your question? Is it Miss Colette in chat? If you've forgotten your question, apologies. I know we take a little bit long. I think someone else has died in the queue as well. Maybe they can get up enough just to ask their question as well. I don't know. Who we got in game? Oh wait. Oh yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Waving. We wave.
Waving. Hold. Oh, there we go. I've really enjoyed dipping my toes in a bit of everything this game has to offer. What side content are you both looking forward to most when you eventually don't have MSQ to saw anymore?
Oh. Well, for you, Russ, the year will be 2052 and
84 years.
Don't worry, guys. Endwalker starts tomorrow. Actually, have you seen the copy pasta that everyone's hitting me with lately? It's absolutely perfection. Can someone go link the copy pasta in Russ's chat, please? It's like, it's phenomenal. You got to see it. But yeah, what are you looking forward to, Russ?
Well, I'm very much looking forward to the Mandeville questline. I've heard a lot of good stuff about that. I'm probably going to do that. Questline. Yes.
Oh, I think did I mention that to me as well? What's that? What? Tell me about it. What's the deal?
I think it's just some absolute Giga Chad getting up to no good, and there's a dance move, and it's just shenanigans. Apparently, I don't really know much else about that.
You're not talking about Hildebrand, are you? Is this two separate things?
Sorry, yeah, Hildebrand. What did I say? Mandeville.
You said Mandeville.
Isn't it called? Maybe I'm getting them confused. Mandeville quest, Hildebrand. I think it's the same thing. Is it not?
Oh, is it? I don't know. But okay, yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe that's his name.
Oh, it's Hildebrand Mandeville. Okay, that's the full name. Yeah,
right.
Yeah, okay.
Yes. Yeah. So Hildebrand, Mandeville, because like Mandeville is like a family. That's who owns the Gold Saucer in it. So, but yeah, Hildy questline. Yeah. So Golden Saucer for me is always gonna be up there.
Yeah, you wait until
just,
after the MSQ to start that, yeah?
No, I go like every few days. I do my weekly cat pots and stuff.
Oh,
Sometimes
yeah.
the daily mini cat pots. Yeah, of course. Couple gates.
Yeah.
It's funny. Like I've been trying to get like my highlights channel off the ground, for like clips and highlights and stuff. And there's one like I've had a couple people in my community that's like editing clips for me and stuff. And it's just funny because like I don't watch them, so I watch them live, and like I see them pop up on my homepage on YouTube, and I watch them. I'm like, how did they paint me in this one? Like they done me dirty and stuff.
Oh,
and
that's
one
cool.
it's like me finishing 2.0 and like doing all this stuff, and it's like this really nice like montage where it's like showing all the screenshots popping up of like everything along the way. It's really nice, and then right at the end I'm like, all right guys, we got that done, let's go do a gate. In the ghost saucer.
Oh, that's
It's
cool.
like, oh shit. Yeah
Hey,
really
shout
nice.
out to whoever's doing that for you. That's
Yeah, we've
that's,
got like
that's
5
really nice.
people doing them, so
Are they
we've
just
got,
doing
like,
it just out of just like enjoyment, just because they're watching the content?
yeah
and Just...
exactly.
Oh,
like,
that's
they just
nice.
wanna learn how to edit and
Yeah.
like help me in the process.
Yeah.
So they're just kind of like, because they basically have like free rights to just like make it as memey or as like
Yeah.
not memey as they want.
And
right?
then you
Some
just sort of
it's
upload it and then just see what happens.
Yeah, like just
Wow.
go like some of them get like a couple thousand views on the clips.
So
channel.
so you have like
YouTube-
5 people doing that for you, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I have
We got, like,
0
like-
people in my chat doing that for me, so step up your game, chat. Step up your game, huh?
There you go.
Work for free for me, huh? Come on.
Somehow
No,
I've got a hold over them.
Yeah, that's really nice of them. I mean, like you say, it gives
Yeah,
people a
super
little bit of
generous.
like experience, and I mean, it's just like a bit of fun, right? It's not exactly like, hey man, where's my 50 hours this week, bro? Like, come on, I need videos. Like,
it's very much like do as much or as little as you want, right?
Yeah.
But,
Yeah,
some
that's
people
cool.
have expressed an interest and are pretty slow on it, and that's fine because like I was thinking about holding like a little seminar, like a little editing seminar, so that I can kind of go
Ooh.
through what we're doing.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, just like trying to like I think people want to like give back as well, like for the content in whichever way they can. Really, like not everyone can give the 100 subs and stuff, right? So some
Yeah.
people are like, yeah, if I can edit, make some meme clips as well, because they get rights to just do whatever they want. Like they can make me look like an idiot in the process, so that's funny.
Yeah,
to
that
them.
must be
And
hard
then
work
other
to make
people
you
will
look
laugh.
stupid. They must be like struggling with.
Yeah,
I mean,
I'm very
clearly,
professional
like, there's
all the
not
time.
much of that content because you got 5 editors doing that. So clearly, they're struggling for scraps. I mean, if you got enough stupidity for 5 different people to make content,
We have we've had daily uploads for the past like month now.
yeah,
Like, one
he
per
says,
day.
bragging,
Yeah.
showing, look how stupid I am. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I like that.
That's
Actually,
good. It just feeds into itself, right?
I have an editor. I have DQ. She works for me now
You
like 2
do?
days a week. Yeah.
Very nice.
But yeah, so she started like she does like YouTube and stuff for me and like TikToks and stuff. But we're trying to get that up off the ground. She literally today, this was our first week like doing 2 days. So we're trying to build that up. But hey, that's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. What was the question?
I don't know.
Bro, what was the question?
How will we find ways to stall? How will we find ways to stall?
Oh, okay. We stalled the question. Jesus.
We stalled the question. Just like
okay.
this podcast.
Yeah. There you go. I think for me, I want to try my hand at. So I'm a big dungeon guy. I know there's not as much dungeon content in this game. I really want to try my hand at maybe some of the like raiding content, just to like try it.
That's
but
another question that just came up there.
Sorry.
There's another question that just came up on the in-game chat.
Yeah, which is
So it
basically
kind
that.
of leads into it, right?
Plan to do mid-hardcore content such as Savage's Ultimates during the expansion you're in. Yeah, so like I want to try and be as close to like Dawn Trail as I can be for when it releases, and I might not make it in time, and that's okay. But I'd love to save probably some of the Ultimates until closer to Endwalker maybe, and then do them. Maybe we'll do some along the way, but I really want to try them just to see what it's sort of like. I think it would improve my perspective of the game. I want to dabble in everything so that then I can really know what I'm talking about and not just sort of be guessing with some of the stuff in terms of WoW comparisons and stuff like that with FF. So I want to do that, but then we'll just see. I mean, Boja and Eureka, I've not experienced them or seen them, but I've heard they're really fun. Also, my friend CC Lemon, was doing
Our Lord and Savior.
Our Lord and Savior, Prage. He was doing treasure maps, and all I know, Russ, I hope you don't mind me saying this.
One of those,
you've done them. Oh, really?
Someone donated me one. Like, I don't know how it worked. They just invited me to a party and we did the treasure map. Yeah.
Oh, can I already do those?
I didn't unlock it myself. It just worked. I don't know. I think I had to go summon it. But it worked. Yeah, I got a plate, like a gold plate. I don't know. I still have it. I don't know what the significance or point was.
Yeah, that's sick.
I did one.
I want to do those.
Yeah.
Yeah,
those are good maps. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that you could do, like relic weapon grinds and stuff.
Oh,
like that.
yeah, I want to grind one.
Yeah.
Relic weapon grinds. They're not that bad. Everyone said about how gross they are to farm. ARR relics, easy. 14 hours, done. Simple. Easy.
Yeah, for a WoW player, it's nothing.
Yeah, easy. Yeah, us WoW players just built different. Do we want to finish up maybe like one last one? Because I think we've been going about 2 hours, 10-ish minutes now.
Yeah, we can.
Yeah.
When's your first ultimate plan, by the way? Like, you gonna do it at max, or are you gonna do it as you
I kind of want to do UCOB soon.
I want to do one as soon as I get access to.
Yeah.
Do at least one.
I sort of want to do UCOB as soon as I can.
Kill it in an hour.
Yeah. I want to do the Rich Campbell. I want to get in, smash it out with a bunch of, people who already know what to do. Claim the game's easy. Just call it a fucking day, Bish bash bosh. See you nuts. That's what I want to do.
Full blind run. 1 hour run though. Yeah,
full blind 1 hour run, speed run. I don't know whether to do, because I've reacted to UCOB now, so I'm like, ooh, maybe I don't do UCOB. Maybe I try doing, apparently Uwu is like the easiest, so I might try doing Uwu. I might try that.
I'm gonna do an Uwu at 70 with Reaper as soon as they get it. It's gonna be great.
Uwu at 70
do you get scaled down? Do you get scaled down to 70 for ultimates then?
Okay. You get scaled item level and things. I don't know about level scaling, but I imagine so.
I'm just wondering about abilities, rotations, and stuff, right?
Yeah.
So all the ultimates, there's a question for everyone in chat and game. Are all ultimates scaled to like level 70, or in terms of what abilities you have access to? They're just saying yes, level, but I don't know which level. Which level? Which level do you get scaled to?
Oh,
just so I know, like.
I guess it would be based on when it was, which expansion it was launched.
Well, that's what I'm thinking, like, because if you go in as Reaper to like Uwu, which I think is for level 50, like it's ARR stuff, right? So it's like.
No, it's all at 70. Uwu and UCOB, I'm being told is 70. So I think at Reaper you'd have like everything available.
You'd have your whole kit. Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah. Yep. Right. Last question. Do you feel the lack of character customization, talents, soulbinds, conduits? Oh God, soulbinds and conduits. Does it matter to how you relate to your character? So part of me misses it. I do like going on my feral druid on WoW and having some sort of like expression of like, hey, I want to try this or I want to try that, and it's cool like trying different builds off and feeling like you're sort of able to manipulate the character in a way that suits your playstyle and your interests and stuff. At the same time, the reason that WoW has PTR testing and such a long beta cycle where all the content gets revealed to people and like all this stuff and balancing issues and constantly like it's the god comp and like you struggle to play the game if you're not one of 5 specs and stuff like that. The reason all of that stuff exists is because there's so many variables and tuning knobs. There's all the classes, all the specs, all the talents, all the different item levels, right? Depending on if you're going in week 1 compared to week 8, where like the gear difference is 20, 30, 40, 50 item levels, like creates so many issues that then we have these PTR cycles. So I would kind of like, in a way, I'd like less customization to get a more raw experience. You know what I mean? But at the same time, I do like that. I do like talents and stuff like that. What about you, Russ?
So can you go for the whole question again? Like,
do you feel the lack of character customization, such as talents? Like, are you feeling like, are you missing those things? Are you feeling that they're not present?
Yeah, a little bit. Like, I feel like you kind of just have a build, like you play a job and you have a build, but I also don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, because then you can just jump into a different job if you want a different playstyle. You don't have to have like 6 different playstyles in one job. The reason I think it works on WoW is because like you only have 3 specs on your character.
And your character can't be every single class. Yeah.
Yes, yeah, exactly. Which I actually think the way they do it in Final Fantasy is better. Like having, just having one character that you do everything on.
Yeah.
It's just healthier and better. You build more of a connection with your Warrior of Light. It's like, that's my Warrior of Light. Right? Like I do everything on my Warrior of Light. They're the best. They're like my incarnation of me and stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not like, oh yeah, I have my hunter, I have my mage, I have my druid over here. Like, they all do different things, and you got to level them all up and do all that. Like, yes, you have to level up different jobs in this game, but like once they're done, they're kind of done, and you just like switch it, click of a button, right? So
Yeah.
I think if you're looking for that variety, you just play a different job. Like Samurai plays a little bit different to Dragoon, and plays a little bit different to Monk. So that's almost like respecing your talents. You don't have as much like the question asked, like you don't have that freedom of expression. You can't do like what I mentioned earlier with like Demon Hunter and do like make a gambler build, like make a wacky build. You could press your buttons in a different order, like if you want, but you probably won't do much. Like you won't really have much potency in that case. So I think in a way, like I feel it, but it really hasn't crossed my mind. Like maybe if I played the game at max level for however long, I might be like, oh yeah, maybe this is missing some talents or something. But
Yeah.
I mean, back in like again to make the comparison with Classic WoW, like there wasn't really that much in Classic WoW. You had the talent trees, but in general, you usually went for the same builds all the time.
Yeah.
You had like
illusion
maybe
of
a
choice.
PvP build. Yeah, exactly. You had like a PvP build and you have a PvE build and stuff like that. But other than that, like you just kind of played it, and everyone loves Classic, or like a lot of people like Classic, and myself included. So I don't really feel the need. And even then in Classic, like you have like 3 builds in your whole character. You can't just change to be a mage. You have to level up an entirely different character again. So I actually think that you do have like a decent amount of access to enjoy the game in whichever way you like to, really.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Awesome. Right.
I like how you put it though with the illusion of choice. That's a good way. Cause they always have cookie cutter builds. There is always a best build.
Yeah. And if you don't play it, then you're stupid. I want to play a Black Mage. I want to play the Frost build of Black Mage and just do that. I think that'd be fun. In Ultimates, take it into Ultimates and just do Black Mage Frost build. I think that'd be
deeps. Mm-hmm.
Do you know the meme of that?
No.
So Black Mage,
I was like, okay, so I want to play Black Mage. That was like my thought process, like, nice bro, good for you.
No, Black Mage, you have like your builder spender, so like fire is like spending all your resource, but it's like high heavy hit, high damage. And then the Frost is like how you regen your resource. Kind of like Arcane, like you pump and dump, and then like you rebuild.
Yeah.
And like Frost just does like no damage. It's like there are people that just play Frost Mage, and then they just do like no damage. Apparently, anyway. But
Think of Blue Mage, by the way, just before we end.
Oh, what do we think of it? What do I think of it?
Like, yeah, what? Like, I guess you haven't played it or anything.
Not played it. Not into it at all.
You know anything about it?
All I know is you steal abilities from like things that you kill and stuff like that.
Yeah, and you go in with a loadout. I think you can have like a 10 ability loadout, so you can like make a loadout how you want, and then go in.
Okay, I want to try Blue Mage at some point.
It sounds kind of cool because I thought it was like, oh, it's just some broken OP thing that everyone talks about, and it's like not a real class and stuff.
Yeah.
But there are people who are like Blue Mage mains, who obviously you can't play in every piece of content, but when it was kind of told to me like that, it's like, oh yeah, you go and like soak every ability from all over the world, so that's giving you exploration, giving you a little mini game to do.
Yeah, you're just like going around the world, just like sucking everything.
Locking a loadout, sucking everything, and you go in with like a loadout and just be like, cool, today I'm gonna try this selection of abilities. So I think almost that is kind of like touching on the talent tree thing, like you almost can just play some Blue Mage and make some weird wacky loadout of abilities and have some fun with that, right?
That sounds fun. Yeah, I kind of want to try that. I know there's like some achievements for doing like coils, like full Blue Mage and stuff like that. So like that's the kind of stuff sounds fun. But yeah, I'll have to check that out.
Currently, there's 124 skills in the game that you can get, and you can just take 24 onto your hotbar or spellbook at a time, kind of thing. Yeah, it's kind of cool.
Yeah, that's really cool. We'll have to check it out. Right, perfect. Right, we will call it there. These are supposed to be like hour-long episodes. We only did 2.5 hours today, so we're looking good. Can't wait to upload this onto YouTube later. Thank you all so much for watching Between Two Sprouts, featuring myself and Russ. We can't wait to have some guests on the podcast soon. I think next episode will be Will it be after FanFest? It'll be after FanFest because
yeah.
unless we do it live at FanFest on the 20th.
That's an option we can maybe look into. We could potentially do it on the Friday afternoon or something.
We could maybe do that. That would be really cool.
Going on. That would be cool. That would be cool.
Maybe we could do it from bed in the hotel.
We could from bed in the hotel, yeah. At late night.
Late night. Oh.
Yeah, late night.
I was thinking early morning, but hey, whatever.
Oh.
You know.
Hey, why not both? Why not both?
Why not both?
I mean, it would be cool if there was like enough people going to FanFest from the people that watch the podcast, we could actually take like
live
from we could do it live and then take questions from the people there. Yeah, that would be cool.
That's amazing. Yeah.
That requires some stuff, and we're both quite bad at that though. So
yeah, that requires both of us having to do work. So we'll see how that goes.
We're streamers after all, so
yeah. Right, amazing. That's that. That's the episode done. I will call that boom.